Join me in an attitude of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Please watch over us as we conduct our business. We ask that you guide our decision-making and the decisions of all elected officials around the world. We also thank you for the rains in the last couple of weeks. May you grant our area farmers and ranchers a bountiful harvest. We pray all these things in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Marla, please call the roll.
Karen Breathauer.
Here.
Butch Hurst.
Here.
Pam Lancaster.
Present.
Gary Kwon.
Here.
Ron Peterson.
Here.
Jane Richardson.
Here.
Scott Sorensen.
Here.
Notice of the open meeting law. This is a public meeting subject to the open meeting laws of the state of Nebraska. Requirements for an open meeting are posted on the door to my left, and notices are on the front table for your information. Request to reserve time. If there's anybody in the audience that requests to reserve time on a specific agenda item, please come forward at this time. Seeing none, we have verified the affidavit of publication. I would also make a note that we don't necessarily take things in the order they appear on the agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the August 11th, 2026 meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the August 11th, 2026 meeting along with the following consent agenda items. Number 15, discussion of possible action to approve and authorize the chair to sign the interlocal agreement for the Central Nebraska Adult Drug Court. Number 19, approved by weekly claims. Number 20, approved regular claims. 20B, discussion of possible action to lower the claim number 26080036 from College Park by $1,157.85 and refer it to the county attorney for clarifications pending receipt of corrected supporting documentation. Number 21, county office reports, county sheriff for June, county building inspector. Number 22, Hall County treasurer miscellaneous receipts. Number 23, communications, which are none on file. Number 25, place on file the budget minutes from July 21st, 23rd, 27th, 2026.
We pull 19 or bi-weekly.
Gary, I do have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you're going to do the same thing on the bill for Don, I'm not sure that the board has the authority to deny that claim because we've already given the authority for that claim to the Veterans Committee.
I
So,
understand that, but I still want to vote against. If you want me to, I'll vote against all the claims. But I really don't want to do that.
Marla, can I amend the motion on 19 to include all claims with exclusion of Don Shuda's extra pay?
Thank you.
I'll second.
okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the minutes along with the following consent agenda items 15, 19, excluding one claim, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 25.
Does this work today, Marla?
I can't get the screen to pull up for some reason. I'm trying to get somebody to come down and figure out what it is. So all votes are cast. I'm sorry, you'll just have to raise your hand for a few minutes. 7 yes votes, motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to make a motion that we approve the claim for Don Shuda for extra pay.
I'm going to second the motion, but I think maybe that is the answer. We'll just, going forward, either you vote for the claims or you don't. But I'm seconding this one.
But if we're-
Okay.
then we're, from now on, if you're going to not vote on something, we're going to take and after you're just going to have to vote all against all the claims, or we're going to start this new rule? I'm just asking.
Well,
I second his
the
motion.
question becomes, Gary, whether we have the authority to deny that claim anyway.
Well, we have the right to, as commissioners, to vote against or for something if we want to. And if we don't feel it's right, we can vote against it.
Even though you don't have the authority to do it.
We still have the authority to deny claims. So if you guys want to change the rules, we can go ahead and try. We can do it like what Mr. Sorensen just did now, and I have no problem.
I would just like to find out an easier way that doesn't take time from the board, because this is a complete waste of time for us. So if we could find out some sort of easier way, that would be
The
great.
way Mr. Sorensen just did it, saves time.
I think we can do it assuming
Okay.
there's going to be similar outcomes to all the votes.
Okay.
Moving forward.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll call the vote to approve the claim for John Shuda.
6 yes, 2 no, motion
No,
carried.
5 yes.
Or
5
I'm sorry, 5 yes.
Who were the 2 no?
Gary and Karen.
Then I would make a motion to go on the Board of Equalization with roll call vote.
I'll second Mr. Darcy's motion.
I suppose because
Karen Breathenauer? Yes. Butch Hurst?
Yes.
Pam Lancaster?
Yes.
Gary Klein?
Yes.
Ron Peterson?
Yes.
Jane
You take that
Richardson? Scott Sorensen?
Yes.
Notice of the open meeting law. This is a public meeting subject to the open meeting laws of the state of Nebraska. Requirements for an open meeting are posted on the door to my left, and notices are on the front table for your information. We have verified the affidavit of publication. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the August 11th, 2026 meeting of the Hall County Board of Equalization.
So moved.
second.
All in favor, raise your right hand.
Oh, that's right.
7 yes votes, motion carried.
Public participation. Commissioners will not be able to take action on non-agenda items under the Hall County Board of Equalization. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the Board of Equalization under public participation? Seeing none, we'll move on to the county assessor.
Good morning. Good morning. I just need a motion for the board chair to sign my corrections 979 to 982.
We authorize the chair to sign tax correction notices 979 to 982.
Second.
Please vote.
All votes are cast. 7 yes votes, motion carried.
Thank you. We will take a temporary pause for our expert
Yeah,
to,
for my computer tab.
What you got here?
It's just giving me an error message because I can't get it pulled over to go on. It's on, but I don't know whether. No, not that. I
Not
need
that?
the vote, the participant screen. That needs to go back over there. Just need the participants on this one. And they're there.
for those in the public, technology is a wonderful thing, except that we don't have any technical people that are.
So it's asking to please close the polling.
Yeah, so how can I do, that's what it's giving me, the error message. I don't know how to- Because I'm gonna check that the participants are still there.
Please close polling. So I'm gonna close it up temporarily. Close,
Maybe just go back then.
go back.
Okay.
All right, so is this the one you were trying to do?
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference, I just need to get the participants over here and then just leave that, because that's just my agenda items.
So we want the agenda and the participants back.
Yes.
Okay,
Here's my agenda.
so this is the one you want to start?
Yeah, but there we go.
Yep, that's what happened. Somehow it,
It got behind.
yeah, I don't know if it just didn't start. It's hard to say,
Okay.
but you can open the vote whenever you're ready.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Brandon.
County Treasurer, we're back in business.
Common sense that goes around, and then the rest of people are lacking.
Good morning.
Sorry about that.
Good morning, Lane.
I have one new exemption today for Mosaic. They're located at 821 West Oklahoma, Suite 2 here in Grand Island. They are a religious organization. They actually are leasing a 2025 Toyota Corolla that last year they registered normally, and this year they're asking for the exemption. So it's a new exemption, but it's a renewal for them. They use this vehicle for management, traveling to different Mosaic locations, also used for client activities such as shopping, medical appointments, traveling to concerts, movies, or other activities. I've approved this exemption per Nebraska State Statute 77-202, and I'd like to ask the board for a motion to approve this exemption.
I'm going to grant the exemption for Mosaic for 2025 Toyota.
Second?
Voting is open. Seven yes votes, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other new or unfinished business to be brought before the Board of Equalization? If not, we will adjourn and go back into the Board of Commissioners. Public participation commissioners will not be able to take action on non-agenda items, but if there's anybody in the audience that would like to address the Board of Commissioners under public participation, I see we do have a possibility that people from the Humane Society would like to address us.
Yes, if maybe Greg and Ashley could come forward, please. We also have a board member here. As you all know, the Humane Society has been in the media lately with some issues with the city, and I wanted to, I've been on that board for, 10 years as board liaison, and I just wanted to clear some things up this morning and possibly give a letter of support for the Humane Society if you feel so inclined. But I sent you an email last night as well as gave you the statement that they put together. So I just would like, this is Greg Geis, board president. Ashley, I want to say Jasnock,
It's
but
Meister now.
Meister is the assistant director. What is your official title?
Executive Director.
Executive director. And you've done that for how many years?
I've been in the director role for 7 years
Okay.
now.
She does a wonderful job along with
Yeah.
Emily. And Greg has been on the board just about as long as me, I believe, and board president more than once. Or is this your first?
2.5 years, something
Okay,
like that.
yeah. Both great supporters and of the Humane Society, and they do a wonderful job. So, if you would like, could you maybe just highlight the statement, maybe go through step by step on how we've arrived at this place with the city?
We started last year, it's when we decided, it's actually the end of 2024, we decided that we didn't want to do animal control any longer. So in the spring of 2025, we notified the police department and city administration that we're no longer going to do animal control, but we would gladly take care of housing the animals. We just felt that it was better for the police department to do the animal control with, it's more of an enforcement thing. We would run into people, well, you're not the police, you can't tell me that, you can't take my animal. It's just too many things like that going on. And as we looked around the state and other locations, most of the time, the police department does the animal control, and then shelters, humane societies take care of the animals and try to get them adopted out, get them ready to go. Well, we struggled to get a contract going with the city with that. Kept having delays and things with different folks. We finally worked out something with the police department, with Chief Denny. That's with delays and everything, we finally signed the contract. For 6 months, the contract was paid exactly how we expected it to be, what everybody agreed upon. Then council member decided that we were being overpaid or paid incorrectly. So the next thing, every month, we're paid differently. We're running in the red. We can't, we have a 3-year contract. We can't do that for 3 years. We tried to negotiate with the city different times. Had meetings with the city administrator, the city attorneys. Let's get this fixed how we originally planned it to be. We were just told, we can't do anything with it. You're going to have to cancel the contract. So they kind of forced our hand. That's where we're at. The reason we put that statement out is because there was a lot of misinformation being put out. So we felt that we should put a statement together explaining exactly what happened and why it happened. We, the biggest misinformation being put out is that the city had to take over animal control because we lost our insurance, and that's just totally misinformation. Our insurance was canceled, but we were notified in July that at end of August, we would no longer have insurance. So we scrambled, got new insurance, so we were never without insurance. And we told the city in the spring that we wouldn't be doing animal control any longer. So that's why the process was sped up for the police department to take over sooner, because what if we didn't get insurance? So that's a specialized insurance that a lot of insurance people do not do that insurance because it's a high-risk insurance. It's very expensive for the shelter, but we still have the same insurance that we had then. So it's just been a struggle working with the city on this.
Yeah, it's been a big struggle, and when he says there's been delays when they're trying to negotiate this contract, and the county is somewhat, we've been down this road, the county, when we negotiated our contract, and they no longer were doing the animal control, so if you remember, we decided a lump sum would be better for the county contract instead of the days held if it goes into legal, etc. Well, the city opted for the other way. They didn't want a lump sum. They did a little of both, actually. They paid a certain amount per month, and then they wanted a per day fee. Well, now it's this per day fee that they seem to think they're not responsible for. But a contract is a legally binding agreement, so I'm not sure why they think all of a sudden they can start. Sometimes they follow it a little bit, sometimes they don't, sometimes they pay some, sometimes they pay none. I mean, it's been such a struggle, and even to get them to sign the contract the last couple years or so, when they say delays, we're talking like we get together, they say, okay, yeah, that'll work, and then 2 months later, nope, that's not gonna work. I mean, we were operating without even knowing where we were with the city. It was so strange and inappropriate in my view. It's been a battle to try to get things hammered out with the city, and I'm not sure why. It's been like this for probably ever since Pam and Gary can remember. They paid a portion, we paid our much smaller portion because of the rural versus city. All of a sudden, this is a service that they don't, I shouldn't say they, some of them don't believe maybe is necessary. Maybe they think they can do it much less on their own. It's just been such a struggle. So I really wanted to reiterate that because he kind of just glazed over the delays and things, but this has been major hurdles every year to renegotiate with the city, and we would barely get it renegotiated. It seemed like we just go back into, it was like we're in negotiations year round.
That's why we were happy to have a 3-year contract, so we wouldn't have to go through 6 months of this every year. But then
Yeah,
it's not
it's
working.
hard to run a business, which is basically what they're doing, when you don't know where your financing is coming from.
And that's why our preference has always been the lump sum, because then it's easy on both sides, right? You guys can budget your way and know exactly what that contract is going to cost, and we can budget ourselves and know exactly what's going to be coming in. And the city really pushed for the per diem thing, and we agreed because, we wanted to be understanding and negotiable, and now it's kind of hit a point where it is no longer sustainable for us, and so that's why we gave our notice. And I think the other thing I want to highlight is that no matter what happens with the city contract, like, it will not affect our contract with the county. We're still going to do housing with you guys. So, because I've heard, people are like, oh, the shelter's shutting down. That's not true. So I just want to make sure that I make that clear as well, that our contract with you guys is not in jeopardy at all. So, yeah.
So where do you think this is gonna end? What's gonna happen down the road?
It sounds like I don't know if they're gonna wait till the end of the 6 months, and then they're gonna put out a request for proposal, and then the lowest bidder will be animal controls.
I mean, our hope is obviously to negotiate a new contract that's a lump sum that works for everybody, but
Do they, in their contract then have the right to give you notification? Is that what the deal is? That they can terminate?
so
Yes.
either side could
Yeah.
terminate.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
That's
Okay.
what we've given our 6 months notice that
Yeah,
we're
we-
terminating.
The Humane
contract.
Society gave them notice,
Okay. That's-
because obviously it's not working.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions?
I was gonna make one more comment that,
Okay.
a lot of this has been out in the news, et cetera, and there was a lot of no comment from the Humane Society because we felt it was best to put together a very informative comment and not have everybody speaking it on different things. So that's why there was just a little bit of a delay. It was nothing should be seen negatively upon the Humane Society for that delay.
This is not the way we wanted it. We did not want to be in the press, and we were hoping
Yeah.
just to work this out with the city, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they made public statements, and so it was just,
we felt we had to respond.
we
And
wanted to make sure there was, you know, our side of the story and the truth behind our facts and things out there, so.
Okay. Pam?
I just have a quick question. So at the present time, according to the contract, does the city owe you money?
Yes.
I really, I'm befuddled. I mean, that isn't, I mean, I think that the county would, I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, I sincerely, and I don't mean to sound, you know, I'm not making light, I'm saying I don't understand if you have a contract, how they cannot be fulfilling the contract for the period of time. If y'all want to do something after that, they want to give notice, you want to give notice, whatever, but I think they have a legal obligation, right? I mean, is this,
Absolutely, it's a legally binding document
That
that
part I
parties
just
signed.
don't
I mean,
understand.
we signed them. I mean,
Yeah.
could you imagine if all of a sudden we just say, we're not gonna pay them?
or anybody else for that matter?
Exactly.
Anybody.
No, anybody.
we've had to file earlier in the year to terminate the contract because they hadn't paid us for a couple months. They got that letter, then they caught up, but we're behind again.
Okay. Well, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for clarifying everything.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
I don't know if I can speak for the entire board, but I would say you definitely have our support going forward.
Thank you.
And we hope everything works out.
Thank you, guys.
Gary, did you have a comment?
Not some difference either.
Public participation.
It's a sad day for our community. This morning, Mike Pollock family notified me that Mike had passed this morning, and probably one of the most dedicated elected officials I've ever met in my life. If you give Mike Pollock a call, 15 or 20 minutes, he'd have an answer for you or whatever, and it's a sad day for a community that Mike passed, and he did so much for, you know, working on committees and things with the county and the city both, trying to make things happen. And can be some tough shoes to fill, and my condolences go out to my Pollock's family.
Okay.
Thank you, Gary. I also wanted to mention the passing of Ray O'Connor, who was very much a community builder, very positive influence on our community. And that was a very sad occurrence also. He will be greatly missed.
Yep. Okay.
I've never been so proud of this community, what this community did from Mr. Scarlett, the veteran that didn't have a family or his family members weren't around. The Sheriff's Department, Grand Isle Police Department, the State Patrol, the Fire Department, the news media, all the community worked together to make sure that Mr. Scarlett had the honors that he was befitting. He served his country, and I was really proud of this community and what they did for stepping up to honor Mr. Scarlett.
Okay. All right. We have a special guest here from NACO, John Cannon, who
Good morning.
is our voice in a lot of ways,
Yeah, thank you.
here to give us kind of an update.
Right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be on the agenda. Appreciate it. I'm handing out a packet that Candace Meredith put together. If you know Candace, you'll know that my shaggy dog routine just ain't gonna fly with her. So she made me get a little bit more organized. The reason that we come here, obviously NACO is an organization that's owned by all 93 counties across the state. And we consider ourselves your employees. I am your employee just as much as Candace or Luke or Riley or anybody else in the office. And so, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that you're aware of the resources that our obligation is to provide resources for you guys. We want to make sure that you're aware of what those resources are. And I'll tell you just a brief vignette. When I first got into this job, I had done a study and I looked at who's attending annual conference, who's attending district meetings, all that good stuff. And I noticed there were 3 counties, they weren't Hall, none of them were Hall, but there were about 3 counties that they just didn't attend a lot of stuff. And I also noticed that I was getting an awful lot of calls from the elected officials in those counties saying, how does this work? How's the Open Meetings Act work? How's the Budgeting Act work? How's the Purchasing Act work? And I thought, there seems to be a real disconnect here. And so, I asked Larry Dix, I said, I'm going to go up to these different counties, I'm going to get on their agenda, I'm going to talk to them about, here's what NACO has to offer. And then Larry took me aside, he says, well, give me visual proof first, because I want to make sure that you didn't go drinking. And I'm like, okay. So I took a picture in front of one of those courthouses, I posted it on Facebook, I said, this is for Larry Dix. The next county that I went to, I was half an hour down the road after visiting with their board, and the clerk calls me and she's like, well, where's our picture, John? I'm like, oh, okay, apparently this is the thing. So I do that. I put my picture in front of the courthouse on Facebook because it's a thing apparently. Anyway, that all said, so in your packets here, like I said, our job is to provide you with resources. A lot of that is education. I mean, we do education, we have direct resources, and then we also have advocacy, which is kind of a large part of it. And I'll get to the advocacy in the legislature in just a little bit. So as far as education is concerned, you see in the packet that there's a number of events that we do throughout the year. Most of them are gone because we're in August already. But you see, we have the county chair workshop, the spring district meetings. We had our county legislative day in Lincoln. There was a few that you attended. I really appreciated that. We had our county accounting basics workshop. We had our county board workshop. We had a land use permit forum that went along with that. And these days, for whatever reason, land use seems to be a really hot topic. So we were super excited to put that on. We helped with the treasurer's workshop, the clerks and recorders workshop. The assessor's workshop, I just came from that. I was there yesterday and I gave them my address. And then we've got our fall district meetings that are coming up. And then I want to highlight October 16th, we have our legislative conference in Burwell. And that is where folks have the opportunity to go in front of the NACO board and say, here are things that we would like to have adopted as NACO's positions for the upcoming year. And there's and I will tell you, the assessors, the clerks, the treasurers, the sheriffs, the county attorneys, the highway superintendents, weed supers, they're all incredibly well organized. They come before the NACO board, they've got everything basically written out in bill draft form. Say, here are the things that we'd like the NACO board to adopt. And I want to make sure that you guys are aware of this because we want to make sure that county board members, you guys have a very unique perspective on how county government works. I want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to say, it seems that this one law keeps getting in the way as far as whether it's Open Meetings Act or the Purchasing Act or whatever. And because of that unique perspective, I want you to recognize that you have the opportunity to go before the NACO board and say, here's something we think could make things work a little more smoothly or a little more efficiently for our taxpayers. And so, that conference is October 16th. It's in Burwell. It's traditionally where our immediate past president is from. The immediate past president of the NACO board is Garfield County Commissioner Diana Hurlburt. She's from Burwell, and I don't know if you recall, but a few years ago there was a derecho that came through and it took out the grandstand at the Big Little Rodeo, and they got a federal grant, and the place is a palace now. And so anyway, they're very much looking forward to welcoming people to Burwell. You can see the grandstand of the Big Little Rodeo. We're going to be underneath the grandstand for our conference. It'll be a really good deal. But again, the most important part of it, however, is bring your ideas to that conference. And if there's something that you want to have the NACO board consider, let me know so we can get it drafted up and they can have something that they can actually take action on. Then, of course, we have our December 16th through 18th, we have our annual conference in Kearney. We should have close to 1,000 people there this year. So that's a fairly well-attended event. A lot of good information. We've got speakers coming from around the state and around the country, a number of folks from state government, as well as the feds and the National Association of Counties, and so there's a lot of really good learning opportunity there. And for what it's worth, for any of the attorneys in the room, we routinely get, and because I'm also an attorney, I made sure that we routinely get 8 to 12 hours of CLE approved for our annual conference, which I think is kind of a good deal. And so we've been getting county attorneys to attend as well, so that's been nice. We recently had a webinar, and I didn't have it listed in these events. It was a county budget prep webinar. That was on May 28th. We recorded it. The link is available on our website, and so if you can find it, great. If you can't find it, let me know, and I'll send you the link. But given that we're in budget season right now, we figured, it's a nice thing to promote that, hey, there's this budget webinar. The state has always taken aim at how we raise taxes and how we raise the revenues necessary for running county government. And because of that, they've been tinkering a lot with our property tax request authority and a number of other authorities, and so that really feeds into the budget. And so we wanted to make sure that you're up to date as far as all the information that we have on how you guys set your budgets and how that feeds into the tax requests and all that good stuff. We have our newsletters. I believe that you guys are all signed up for it. The 93 newsletter comes out every Friday. Our legislative newsletter that Beth Farrell puts together comes out every Friday during the legislative session. And then also this year, one of the things that we added, we did our FAC, our Friday action call. And it sounds a little bit more like a more traditional FAC. I promise we're not drinking, as far as you know. But we really kind of say, here's the inside scoop for what's going on in the legislature in the rotunda. And so, I'll kind of be a little bit more unvarnished in my opinion. The so-and-so voted this way because he's mad at her. This didn't even get scheduled for hearing because the speaker was mad about whatever. But we really kind of talk about what's going on in the legislature. But more importantly, it is an action call in the sense of the reason we do it on Friday afternoon. Your senators, Senator Lippincott, Senator Quick, Senator Meyer. On a Friday afternoon, they're getting ready to go home for the weekend, right? And we figure the best time for you guys to get in their ears is Saturday morning over lunch or breakfast, sometime during the weekend when they're at home. And so we have that Friday action call to say, here are the things that are coming up that we want you to be aware of, and to get in the ear of your state senator. And so we think that's very important. It's had a good effect so far. There are a number of times that after that we started that FAC, I had a few senators that said, well, my county board member called me over the weekend and they wanted to talk about X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, great, that's what we wanted it to be. So that's your opportunity to kind of hear what we have to say, participate, ask questions, kind of give your opinion. I'll give you my completely unvarnished opinion. It's usually a pretty good time. Also, for our resources, if you go to the second page of that packet I have for you, that'll be our one-pager that we have we do one for every county across the state. This is the one that we have for Hall County. Some very basic information in there for you, just like the very basics. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, there's a QR code, and if you scan that, that'll take you to our Nebraska Counties Explorer webpage. And there's more information about Hall County than you could ever want on there. We've got everything, and we cull this information from the University of Nebraska, from the Department of Revenue, from the U.S. Census Bureau, and we've got everything that you might want to know about Hall County right on that page. And so this is, like I said, just a one-pager, handy to hand out to your senators, your constituents, other stakeholders that you work with in the community, such as your city council or whomever, so they have a basic idea as to what's going on with Hall County. The second page, or the third page in your packet, this is something that we've been publishing for people. It's understanding the county's share of your property taxes. And so what we do with this is it's kind of a little bit of a flow chart. It tells you we go from a valuation base to a property tax request to what that levy rate translates to. We take the average assessed value for single-family residential, and we apply that rate to the average home. That tells you what your average residential county tax bill is going to be. It's going to be $845 here in Hall County, which is a heck of a lot better than Lancaster, where I live. So good for you guys. We highlight what percentage of the total tax bill that is. So at 22.6%, you guys are doing pretty good. And then we also compare it to other household expenses, according to the Census Bureau. And so when you look at $845 for the county share of the property tax compared to $6,400 for your gas, your utilities, your homeowner's insurance, your cell phone bill, Netflix, that's obviously a much lower number. And we think that really helps tell the tale of what it is that you guys are doing from a taxation standpoint as far as being stewards of the taxpayer dollars. But also, here's what you're getting for your money, right? And that's your story to tell, to your constituents or whomever else, your Senator Lippincott or Senator Quick or whomever. Here are the things that we're doing with our tax dollars. We've got this project that everyone liked. We're doing a road project, we're doing a whole bunch of construction around the courthouse, which was awesome to drive through this morning. So, but that's your opportunity to kind of say, here's kind of the basics, here's what we're doing with the taxpayer dollars, and then you say, and these are the actual projects that we're doing with that. And we think it's been very, very helpful. This is for you to use. We have a research division at NACO. They put all this stuff together. They like I said, they pull this information directly from primary sources. And so if you want to use this, feel free to do so. If you want to hand it out, if you want to put it on your website, whatever you'd like, the information belongs to you because, after all, NACO belongs to you guys. And I believe I can talk all day. You guys know me. I really could talk all day, and I'm not gonna. A lot of the information that we have in the remainder of the packet are a number of the partners that we work with. There's a number of people that we partnered with as far as endorsements are concerned. D.A. Davidson does lease purchase program. We partner with the National Association of Counties. By virtue of your membership in NACO, part of your dues goes towards paying your National Association dues, and we give you a discount. Essentially, what we did was we increase your dues by 90% of what your National Association dues are, and so we subsidize that remaining 10%. And we figure that's the least we can do. Because it is important for us to have that partnership with the National Association of Counties. They do a pretty nice job for us on the federal level. Other partners, we've got EECS, we've got Nationwide, U.S. Bank. There's a number of really good partners that we have there. I do have to mention Zell Human Resources, Zell HR. They're a human resources company. They can help you with just doing a job search if you want. That's what you want to do. They can help you with writing your employee manual if you want them to do something like that. They can be your entire HR department if you so desire. They'll do basically everything in between. NACO first partnered with Zell HR back in 2018 when they were looking for a deputy director for Larry Dix. He chose me, so I think these guys are pretty cool. I'll just leave it at that. Let's see. I did want to talk a little bit about legislation, and I'll do that very quickly. But before I get to legislation, I do want to take a moment to talk about engagement because it is very crucial. And again, we talk about your state senators, Senator Meyer, Senator Quick, Senator Lippincott, and it is obviously very important, crucially important to engage with those folks and tell them, hey, look, here are the practical effects of the things that you want to do, what they're going to have on our community, and they need to understand that. But more than that, when I talk about engagement, I want to talk about all the other people that make the community in Hall County. And so, reach out to our friends at the City Council. Reach out to our friends on the school board. Have them attend some of our meetings when you got something particularly controversial. I know that Wood River has been in at your board meetings recently, and perhaps a little bit less, cordial conversation there. But reach out to those folks. Have them here when you're going to talk about something that's going to impact their communities and what they're doing. Reach out to our friends at the Farm Bureau or at the Chamber of Commerce. And the reason I mention that is because I have conversations with their statewide representatives all the time in the Rotunda, all the time in Lincoln. We talk about stuff over the interim. What sorts of things can we work on? And what I can tell you is what bubbles up from their membership and what bubbles up from our membership is stuff that we can actually work on. And I've been saying this for a good long while now. If those 5 main organizations and others as well, Cattlemen and all those folks, if our organizations agree on how we're going to move Nebraska forward, I don't care who the governor is, I don't care who sits in the legislature, it's going to get 40 votes and it'll pass. And so that notion of working together as a community, I think, is so very important, one, at the local level, but two, because it gives us direction that we need at the state level. And so that's my pitch for you guys is, to really start engaging with the members of your community and really start kind of building that framework up. Because when you do that, that tells me what I need to do. And that tells my friends over in those organizations what they need to do as well. So any questions so far, by the way? I don't want to just drone at you guys. All right, I'll talk a little bit about legislation, a couple bills that got passed this year that were NACO priorities. One, LB 596, was a bill that originally had to do with the Open Meetings Act. One of the things that it did First and foremost is you're no longer required to post a copy of the Open Meetings Act on the wall. That was something that the Attorney General said because of how it was written. You're obligated to have a physical copy like hung up on the wall. You're no longer obligated to do that. You can, as long as you have a copy available. That's all that is necessary for the Open Meetings Act. There are other things that you have to do as far as publishing on a 4 times a year. You have to publish in the newspaper, in the local newspaper, what your regular schedule for board meetings is going to be. That was something we had to negotiate with the Press Association. But there are a few other things that we added into LB 596 that we thought were pretty important. One has to do with marriage licenses. Marriage license fees for the longest time had been $10, and we raised them up to $25 a few years ago. And we did a study and we said, look, the cost of processing a marriage license for the average county is going to be $45. And so when you have something, when the state says, county, you're going to perform a service and you get to charge so much for this service, and the cost of that service exceeds what we're allowed to charge, that delta goes onto property taxes, right? And so we've been kind of preaching that with our friends at the legislature, and we said, you know, marriage licenses is a great example. The average cost is $45. The fee that we're allowed to charge is $25. Every single time we do a marriage license, that's a $20 loss that the property taxpayer is picking up. And they're like, well, that's a terrible idea. We shouldn't do that. We should increase the fees. And so they increased it to $50. And we're like, okay, now you guys are talking. We got something to work with here. There was another bill that we had came up and it whistled on through based on the same premise. It has to do with distress warrants, when the sheriff has to serve a distress warrant. It used to be that he was allowed to charge $2 for serving that distress warrant on someone whose personal property he had to go pick up. That's been increased. $2 doesn't even cover the cost of turning on your car, right? We increased that fee to $20, and so that actually covers probably the majority of the business that the sheriff's office has to do. So that whole notion of we want the fees to reflect the cost of government, that's really starting to kind of gain a little bit of momentum, and so we're hoping we keep that going through the next year. Another bill that was included in LB 596 has to do with how we preserve media, and so how we preserve our records. For the longest time, it had been that when we preserved records, you had to do it via microfilm, right? I'm in my mid-50s. I first ran into microfilm 50 years ago, and 50 years ago, that was an ancient technology then, right? And I can tell you that it hasn't got any more, more novel or new or modern. And I can also tell you that the software company that we own, MIPS, we have a microfilming division. So we provide a microfilming solution for counties. And in the last 5 years, the cost of equipment and chemicals and film has gone up 800%. And again, for a dying technology, that is not particularly cost conscious for county government, right? And so one of the things we had added into LB 596 was we no longer have to necessarily use microfilming, but we can have a digital medium as well. And so we're talking to the Secretary of State and the Judiciary, and we think it's probably going to be PDFA is how we're going to preserve all of our records. Fun fact, by the way, when we do something for microfilming, we start by taking a digital picture of it and then put it on microfilm. It seems like we can just get rid of the stuff that costs a lot of money and do the digital option. So we got that added to LB 596. We're pretty happy about that. Another bill I want to talk about is LB 803, has to do with the pink postcards. So the pink postcards, everyone's favorite. Everyone loves having that hearing, the joint public hearing. We all love to attend it. People are like, man, we need to be a penny over the allowable growth so we can be at the joint public hearing, right? No, not so much. So LB 803 came out, and our biggest complaint had been, look, this is way too late in the process. Our values are already certified, our budgets are pretty much baked in. It doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense to have this joint public hearing where people are going to get really, really mad about a tax statement that isn't even a real tax statement. It has a bunch of fake numbers on it, but it gets the public riled up anyway. It would be much better to have it earlier in the process, prior to our budget season, prior to values being certified, so that people actually have an opportunity to make their voices heard and say, look, we don't want you spending money, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. And so at the end of the day, what we ended up negotiating, and there was a lot of negotiation that went into this. So right now, on or before June 1st, your county assessor sends a change of valuation notice to everyone whose valuation went up or down. And on that change of valuation notice, you've got essentially the prior year, the current year, and the value. What's going to happen next year, because of 803, is you're going to have prior year and current year for your columns, and the rows are going to be, first row is going to be your value, and then the second, third, and fourth row are going to be county, city, school district, And it'll be in the prior year, here's how much the county, city, and the school district levied against that value. And for the current year, it'll be, and if the levy rate remains the same for each of those political subdivisions, here's how much tax will be levied because of your value this year. It's only going to go to people whose values have changed. There's going to be an explanation on there that says, if you think your valuation is in error, we welcome you to file a protest with the county clerk. If you do not have documentation sufficient to justify a lower or higher value, then it will be dismissed. So we want to make sure that the people that write in, they say, it's too high, I don't want my taxes going up, whatever, you have the opportunity to just say, we're going to dispose of these and take care of them. And then it's going to say, also on that change of valuation notice, it's going to say, if you are concerned about the effect that the valuation is going to have on your taxes, you need to go to the budget hearing. You're going to get a postcard from the state, they're going to pay for it, in July, or late June, early July, that will tell you when the joint public hearing will be, and you'll have an opportunity to hear, you know, what everyone's up to. And so we're going to have a joint public hearing, everyone has to attend. We're going to put together a video for you to play that says, here's how we, kind of like that flow chart thing I had with the property tax earlier on. It says, here's how we go from a valuation base to a property tax request to, you know, how the whole thing works. And then someone from the county or the city, the school district will get up and say, here's what we're looking at. Our insurance premiums went up 12%. Cost of gravel's up 10%. The cost of these things have gone up. We're going to have these conversations starting at the first budget hearing at such and such a date, such and such a place. And hopefully by having people there at the same time, hearing the same message, here's what's going on with costs of government, that will be people's opportunity to say, I should probably attend the budget hearing and find out what our priorities should be. I can tell you the assessors are not happy about this. They have never ever liked the idea of having a value tied explicitly to a tax. And the assessors they're right. Their job is to figure out what the value is. And what happens on the tax side, that's beyond their concern. They don't like the fact that this is being tied together. Oh, by the way, people have been making that leap, that logical leap anyway for the last 60 years. And so we figure, okay, let's actually give them something that really shows them, okay, this is what's going to happen if your value goes up so much and the levy rate remains the same. And what hopefully it does is it spurs them to say, well, I want the levy rate to go down. And then they're encouraged to attend your budget hearings. I can tell you that most county boards I've talked to, they usually get 0 people that show up for the budget hearings. And so what we want to do is we want to change that dynamic. So if NACO has a new executive director next year, we'll know that this failed miserably. So I'm fingers crossed it's not that bad. One other bill I want to mention, and I'm close to wrapping up, I promise. I know I take a lot of time, so I apologize. LB 663 has to do with zoning and shot clocks. So if you have a conditional use permit that comes in, planning and zoning has 30 days to make sure that that application is complete. And then from then, planning and zoning has 90 days to approve or deny. If they don't take any action, it's deemed as if it's approved. Then it comes to you guys. You have 30 days to determine whether or not that application is complete, and once you've made that determination, you have 90 days to take action, and if you do not take action by the end of the 90 days, it will be deemed approved. What we got we hated that bill when it first came out. I mean, that takes away local control. And we opposed it. We worked with Farm Bureau and Senator Stohr's office, and we negotiated something on the back end to protect counties. And what the back end is there's a standard of review that we've never had before. If right now, or before this bill passed, if anyone wanted to appeal a decision of the county board on a conditional use permit, it would go up to district court, and district court's going to hold a trial de novo. They're going to bring in evidence that you guys may never have seen. Oh, I'm in trouble now. Or it's just taking a picture. And they don't necessarily have to be bound by the decision that you guys made, right? The standard of review that we now have through LB 663 says that if someone wants to appeal a decision that the county board makes, they have to prove by clear and convincing evidence, which is a fairly high standard, it's higher than preponderance of the evidence, that the county board was arbitrary, capricious, illegal, or they violated their own planning and zoning regulations. That's a much higher standard, and I expect that it's going to decrease the opportunity for litigation. However, because one of those avenues is you violated your own planning and zoning regs, you started to see a lot of county boards across the state saying, we need to put a moratorium on until our regs are up to date, because there are a lot of things out there that our regs simply do not address. And so I can tell you that in Otoe County and in Gage County and in Lincoln County and a number of other counties, they do not have a reg specifically addressing data centers, which you may have heard of in the news, right? And so for all those counties, what our advice had been, and our advice to Senator Storer was, hey, look, what's going to happen is if their regs aren't up to date, they're going to have to put moratoriums on. And that's exactly what we got. So it's a lot of stuff that goes on. I think that the counties are better protected as a result. I don't like the shot clock. I think it's dumb. And it kind of, it says you're going to have this artificial time period that you have to make a decision. But that is what it is. They wanted a shot clock. I said, if you want a shot clock so bad, you're going to give us some protection. And so they gave us some protection. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Again, we'll see how the whole thing turns out, and we'll see what legislation we have for next year, because they're never going to stop. And then a couple other bills I want to mention that did not pass. LB 468, we had worked with, this is on inheritance taxes. We'd worked very, very closely with Senator Clements to try and find replacement revenue. Senator Clements is also the chair of the Appropriations Committee, and they started off this year with a $470 million deficit on the budget, and so there was no replacement revenue. And at the end of the session, Senator Clements, and he's a very good, decent man, and I really wanted to help him get a win on his way out the door. And at the end of the session, 3 days before the end of the session, he said, John, can we essentially give you the statutory equivalent of an IOU? And I'm like, no, we cannot do that, because we do that and you guys are going to take out the IOU in the next legislation. So yeah, we're not going there. But the precedent, however, has been established that you have to have replacement revenue if you want to get rid of the inheritance tax. Personally, I would be fine with the inheritance tax going away as long as the counties are not harmed, as long as the counties have their revenues taken care of. And so, again, we're going to keep having that conversation. We've been working with Senator Kauth's office. There's some interesting ideas that she has. We'll see how if they come to fruition or not. So we'll see. And then the last bill I want to mention that did not pass was LB 1219. That was a bill that was introduced by Senator Brandt, and it would have given a property tax request authority of no more than 2% over the prior year with plus growth and no exceptions. And so if you're a growing community, that helps, but there's no exceptions for public safety, which is something that we fought really hard for a couple of years ago with LB 34. No exceptions for bonded indebtedness, which is a really big problem for a lot of communities that have to bond for road projects or whatever. And the good news is the chair of the Revenue Committee, who we've been working with really, really closely, Senator Brad Von Gielern from Omaha, he got up in the middle of the debate and he said, look, this would be very, very easy for us to do. We can pat ourselves on the back and we can go home and say, we did something on property taxes, but that would be like running down the hall with scissors. It's going to be something that's going to be devastating for small counties and large. It's not going to have the effects that we want it to have. And the hard work of fixing property taxes requires getting into the weeds and actually getting to the heart of what causes property taxes to go up, and that is the cost of government. He says, I'm willing to do the work. I'm not going to vote for this bill. And when you have a very respected chair of a committee, the chair of the Revenue Committee that gets up and says something like that, they gave permission for everybody to say, we're not voting for this, this piece of junk. So that bill died very, very quickly, and we were pretty happy about that. But I was happy that the message had gotten across, so you had a pretty stalwart conservative voice in the legislature saying, I'm not going to take the easy way out on property taxes. I thought that was a good deal. So I know I've gone a little bit over time. I really appreciate the time. If you have any questions, please let me know.
I just have a quick, and I'm drawing from the top of my head, so I can't remember all the details or how this worked out. But anyway, evidently, county commissioners may have or do have continuing education concerns as well.
Yes.
So if we could work that into the NACO conference, as you mentioned that they do for attorneys, I think that would be lovely.
Yeah, we, so because it's 4 hours of continuing education every term. So every 4-year term that you have, we're going to have stuff at district meetings, we're going to have stuff at county board workshop, we're going to have stuff at our annual conference. You'll be taken care of. If you'd have to really work hard to not get the education they require. So, we've taken that to heart. Yeah, of course.
John, I think one of the things that's hard to work with is the way that the unused spending authority is dealt with, because the bottom line is, and we're going to have to deal with that today in our final budget process, if we want to keep our unused authority, we have to increase the levy.
That's correct.
And it makes no sense to me that those two things should be linked together.
I tend to agree, yeah. And we need to work through the math on that and come up with a bill that allows us to have unused budget authority that carries over without actually necessarily having to levy against it. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's counterproductive.
I think it's what's called the law of perverse incentives. It incentivizes you to do something that they don't want you to do, and you're like, well, you guys wrote it that way, so we need to have them write it a different way.
Okay, well, that would certainly be a high priority to
That
me.
would be helpful. Gary wants very helpful.
Well, I would love it if someone came to our legislative conference and put that in front of the NACO board. I think that would be awesome.
I'm gonna go.
Awesome.
If you want me to do it, I can do it.
Okay.
The governor and the legislature have to do something capping valuation. Because the formula that they have now hurts small counties and big counties like us. It's a windfall.
Yeah, the valuation thing is it's a really tricky issue. Over in Garden County, so Oshkosh, this year they were at 46.5 cents on their levy. And you probably heard about the Morrill Fire, right? 900,000 acres, the 8th largest wildfire in the history of the United States. And they were looking at a reduction of about 40% of their valuation base. And you know how the math works. You take a 40% reduction in your valuation base and you're at 46 cents and you got a 50-cent max. They were looking at being $600,000 down from the prior year, with no relief. And oh, by the way everything's set up, being down $600,000 from the prior year, that's their starting point for next year. And so the valuation was really kind of and again, when LB 34 was being debated 2 years ago, we said, hey, when you do this, and you don't address the valuation issue, here's what's going to happen. They're like, well, what do you guys at NACO know? And I'm like, what do we know, right? And then 2 years later, you have the exact thing that we predicted happening in Garden County. They're like, well, gosh, we wish someone would have told us this. You would wish that, don't you? So yeah, the valuation issue is a thing that we always have to deal with.
Okay.
The only other thing that I think Nebraska should think twice about is, we have the Platte River, Buffalo County has the Platte River. I visited with Michaela the other day about this, and I think that before we take land and put it into an environmental trust like that, or a Crane Meadows, we need to look at how much land is going to come off that county's tax roll, just like what happened in Cherry County with the gentleman who passed away that had millions of acres up there. I mean, that is hurting county. Well, when you take land out of taxing, that's more tax on everybody else that owns land in that county.
Yep.
And we have to look at some formula to help counties not lose land that they tax.
Yeah, and I think like other states have things like a payment in lieu of tax, kind of like Game and Parks has for us. And it's interesting you mentioned that, because we had a briefing for the Revenue Committee a couple of years ago, and we had a number of senators that were in our conference room, and we're talking about how property taxes work, and when you shrink the base, that makes the levy rates go up and whatnot. And there was a senator from Omaha that said, well, wait a minute, are you telling me that every time we give out an exemption to whatever group that asks for it, that means that everyone else's property taxes go up? I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what happens. And you would have thought that I had just given her the gospel. She's like, I had no idea. Well, now you do. Go with God and do good work.
Okay, well, thank you very much,
Yep.
John.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
I would entertain a motion to do the bid opening for rural transit.
Mr.
And
Chairman, I make a motion, we open the bids for Hall County Rural Transit.
and I would also say that we can pull 8, because 8 is not required now that we do have a bid.
Correct.
So. And Bob, if you want to come forward.
Okay, voting is open to open the bid.
Morning, Bob.
Morning.
7 yes.
Bob McFarland is our rural transit manager, so just for the public. And we did get a bid.
Yes.
Well, that's good.
We did.
I'm glad for the passengers.
Aren't we all?
And I think probably I would entertain a motion to just address, refer to you and Bob to review for next.
All right.
I'm sorry, I was that decision.
Well, it's my fault. I picked them up because I was,
Huh?
Would you be willing to serve on that?
Oh, you did?
Down the masonry wall.
Oh, upstairs? Treasurer's office? A long time ago, Gary.
I don't know that you need to read the whole thing. What I
It
was.
looks kinda
This is the
thick.
bid.
verbatim.
This is the bid that we received.
I do believe that the RFP did ask for quite a bit of documentation. If you guys recall, the first time we did this 3 years ago, the bidder did refrain from submitting some of the information we got in the process of negotiation.
Okay, this proposal came from Midland Public Transit, 2727 West Second Street, Hastings, Nebraska, Casey Music Director, Casey Music Executive Director. So, I mean, it's,
What I'm going to suggest that we do is somebody make a motion to refer the bid to Bob, Scott, and Karen to review.
I'm gonna have some, maybe Gary.
Doesn't matter.
Would you be willing to work on that, Gary? Okay. Gary, refer and study the bid and come back to us in 2 weeks with a recommendation, because I don't think it's something we can
I'll make
make
that
it.
motion. Did you make it already? I'll make the motion, yeah.
I think it's
Good idea.
important enough that we
Yes.
need to understand it. There's some things that we need to determine. For instance, one of the things we need to look at is where we're going to house the vehicles.
Yes.
You know,
And on the proposal
Sure.
itself, whether the proposal includes the storage for vehicles, maintenance, everything else. I did have a couple of questions submitted from Midland to myself, asking about those things, and I said it would ultimately be discussed by the board and or negotiated in the weeks to come after a submittal. At this point in time, I couldn't tell you what they proposed, but we are hopeful that it's competitive, if not just a little bit better than our current situation. We have options, I think.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Marla, I don't know what that all looks like, how big of, or how much time would that take to digitize or anything like that, but either that or we're gonna need multiple copies to kill a couple more
yeah,
trees, but.
I can certainly try. It might take a couple, attachments to do
Sure.
it. But yeah, so then, well, that'll be a lot easier. That way, everybody's gonna have it. And if you need copies made, I mean, we can make copies. That's
Sure. No,
entirely
I
up
get
to
it.
you.
I'm just seeing there's some things that are stapled together, so I'm guessing you could almost make those into individual documents,
Yeah.
but,
Well, it looks like there's actually just about 8.
yep, so.
Yeah,
you
there's
could have
8
them
different,
listed as individual
the 8 different
documents.
appendixes for
Yep.
which would follow the RFP.
The RFP, correct.
okay, we'll let you guys figure out how to do that,
Okay,
but
so then for the committee, you have, I'm sorry, you switched on me. You
Bob
have-
McFarland, Scott Sorensen, and Gary Kwan.
And Gary, okay, thank you.
And would you gentlemen tentatively want to plan on Friday morning to just get together and? Okay. Tell you what, Gary, we'll send you a digital copy and have you look over it, and then we'll plan on getting everybody together. It's fine.
Okay, and
I'm
I don't,
volunteering at the fair.
yeah, I think basically 7 is taken care of with the motion that we have. Okay, Bob.
I'm dismissed.
Okay, did we vote on the motion?
Yeah, no, we didn't vote.
Okay,
We need to
I
vote.
did, just looking at the.
okay, just a second, I gotta close this one. Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Can you announce just like
Can you give us a
one
bottom
number or
number? Yeah, I mean, this might,
or is it gonna take, is it not easily found?
I don't know that there is.
I don't,
Is it all separate?
One of the things that will more than likely take place was if Bob's position would be eliminated, they would take over that responsibility.
What just seems like they have
Well, we'll have to pay them too.
a bid number,
I would imagine there's something in there.
but it's just too difficult.
yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
It looks like, I mean,
Just
just flipping through one
So
of them
essentially, they're
here.
bidding 3.5
gives-
years.
The suspense is just killing me, guys. I need to know that number. But I'll wait.
Well,
Okay, just on the first one, for instance, this is, and it doesn't really, type of organization, okay, it says, local match, category, operating match, and non-operating match, and it does give dollar amounts. So I would assume that it's probably broke down to each portion of it,
I
and then there'll be a dollar
Because
amount.
that was just vehicles.
Yeah.
So the one that she
Oh.
was looking at, and clearly it said vehicles.
I think it's way too complicated for us to, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha, and
I'm
then
just volunteering, I don't know.
just a side note, we did finally get word from the state with the purchase agreement for the new vehicles that we've had on order for the last 16 to 18 months. We have not brought those forward to be signed yet. However, in the next couple weeks, if we do want to move forward with this, we might bring forward the purchase agreement for 2 new vehicles for transit.
Okay. All right. Are we open to vote?
It left me. Yeah, okay, I am sorry, I don't know what's
Okay.
going on today. 7 yes votes, motion carried. It
Okay.
just said it timed it out, and I don't know why.
Okay. All right, we will move on. Mary Burley.
Good morning, Mary Burley.
There's actually 4 items related to what Mary is here to talk about.
Yes, Mary Burley representing the Grand Island Area Economic Development Corporation. I think we're going to bring up a visual and a process map because we are such visual learners in my office that we often have to walk it step by step. And so if we can find that, Kim. Perfect, there we go. So in 2025, South Central Economic Development District, Nebraska Department of Economic Development District, and I were in front of you in 2025 to ask for your participation, your partnership to apply for a Community Development Block Grant Fund to support Hornady Manufacturing's West Facility Expansion Project. Hornady Manufacturing West Campus expanded their operations by 29 full-time equivalent employees. Community Development Block Grant funds, because we are located at the former federal ammunition site and outside of the city's 2-mile zoning jurisdiction, the county is eligible for a CDBG. Any organization or business located within city limits or within that 2-mile zoning jurisdiction is not eligible for Community Development Block Grant because the city of Grand Island is an entitlement community and automatically gets those CDBG funds directly from the federal government. So this is just a different special situation that we get to take advantage of. And so with that, Hornady Manufacturing was approved and granted a $1 million Community Development Block Grant. This is the process map up here, and those stars indicate where we are at in that process. So the business incurred those expansion costs, again, with adding 29 new full-time equivalent, and they have turned in receipts with expenses over $2 million, and that $2 million was the threshold in order to meet those grant requirements. The business then submits that request for reimbursement to South Central Economic Development District. South Central submits that draw to the county, which you will see, I think it's at $1,000 or maybe $1,200, which is one of your action items on your agenda. You either approve or deny that claim and that draw, and that fund is sent to South Central and then reimbursed by the state. The reason we are here today is because Economic Development Corporation, we have the county's nonprofit development organizations called an NDO. That is a revolving loan fund that is approved by the state of Nebraska. There's only about 10 of them. We have one of that 10. So what we will do is we will serve as, again, that pass-through, very similar to how you all are serving as a pass-through for that $1 million from the state to the county, to the EDC, to Hornady Manufacturing for their West facility. After that, those funds are then passed through all of our organization. We will create 2 loan documents, the NDO will, 2 loan documents to Hornady Manufacturing. One will be for a $500,000 forgivable grant, if you will. The second one will be for a $500,000 repayable loan back to EDC's NDO. And that is a 12-month deferment and then monthly installments over the next 6 years. That 500,000 that then comes back to EDC's NDO, we get the opportunity to create a small business revolving loan fund. Very similar to LB 840 and how we do it, but we will expand the NDO parameters to include service-based industries and retail. So in 6 years, we will have a pot of money to continue to expand and help businesses and entrepreneurial ecosystem in Hall County. So here today, we are asking for the approval of the MOU between the EDC and Hall County, EDC's NDO and Hall County, and that way we can continue on with our process.
And I think the items 10, 11, and 12 are the ones that we're talking about on our agenda. So we need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, number 10, to approve and authorize the chair to sign a nonprofit development organization NDO agreement with Hall County and Grand Island Area Economic Development Corp. regarding the Hornaday CDBG grant.
I'll second.
Voting is open. Seven yes votes, motion carried.
Very good, thank you. Marla, do you want the signed NDO MOU agreement? Or do you want Kim to have it? Who would like that?
Yes, we'll get it signed, and I do have copies that I sent, but yes, if you want that, you want to.
So this is our original that we've signed.
Absolutely.
Do you want that?
We'll get those, and we'll get them signed after the meeting, okay?
And then, Mr. Chairman, I think we got two other items of business for that. I'd make a motion to approve and pay the claim to South Central Economic Development District, Inc. for $1,265 regarding the Hornaday CDBG grant.
Second.
I don't know why it's doing this. It keeps timing it out. and I am
Raise our
sorry.
hand. 7 yes.
7 yes votes, motion carried. I'm going to have to, then I just have to close it and start all over. I don't know why.
And then the last item pertaining to this, I'd like to make a motion to pay once funds are received by Hall County to pay the claim to the Grand Island Area Economic Development Corp. for $1 million regarding the Hornaday CDBG grant.
Second.
Gary, raise your hand.
7 yes votes, motion carried.
Okay.
Public Works.
We're gonna go to facilities since, yeah. Let's go to number 14, facilities, Dune. Since we've got, I asked Dune to put this back on the agenda to kind of get things moving again on where we're at with this. Moving of the probation or probation office over to the federal building. Probably my biggest concern, there's two things, is one is the funding and how we need to put some numbers together, but the other question that I really have is how logistically we're going to handle the drug testing, because the parking at this facility is very limited, and I just don't want it to be a constant issue of people blocking the road or. Yeah, I mean, that to me, logistically, that's the biggest challenge. So.
I'll let Mark speak to that because he's been talking with the police chief and different things about that, about the potential moving over there, so. Mark?
Yeah, there's several things going on here, but speaking about the drug testing, we're coming out with a new drug testing system, whole statewide, which I think, it looks like it might have some advantages for less testing, but still being proficient enough to do what we need to do. But just, yeah, logistically, I'll have to look through that. We've talked about maybe off-site testing in a different location. We can spread things out throughout the day, I think. I'm kind of brainstorming that, how we could just spread it out over like a 10-hour period, like 7 a.m. to probably 5 p.m. or something, or 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. and just have it throughout the day instead of these huge 2-hour time slots where you have 70, 80 people reporting. So maybe because we are now pretty much full staffed on drug technicians. We have 4 full-time or 4 staff. So we could probably spread it out throughout the day and put a lot more testing time. So, yeah, So we're working through that, trying to figure out some solutions. I can put something down on paper to give you guys and
Well,
go that route. But
I
yeah.
just think in order for us to move forward on this idea, I think that that is probably the biggest challenge, making it work, because we don't want it to be, you know, I don't think we can go to the city and ask them to close the street.
Yeah.
So,
What I will do is kind of sit down with my managers locally, and we'll just start putting together some ideas on that and get something to you guys. Because, yeah, that is one of the one obstacles. And I thought about off-site testing, having drug technicians in a different area, things like that. I think the overall project, and I'll just be honest with you, I don't know how many times you can come to a project where it might be net neutral or net positive. I think the minimal construction that we want to do on the first floor, I think it's a reception, 3 or 4 interview rooms, and just getting that remodeled. And then the rest basically is just paint and carpeting on the second floor. I'm just really proud of what we do at probation, and I want to show off things, and I want to host more events. We don't have a lot of space, which we've talked about. We usually go down to the public library and use that a lot for bigger meetings, conferences, and trainings, or rent out Central Community College. So I would like to have events here locally. We've had people from DC and Boston and state senators and everything, but we always meet off-site, which I really don't like. I'm proud of what we do. I want to host things in-house and show that's a beautiful building, and it'd be a great place for us to expand too. So I think the biggest expenses would probably be moving costs and things like that. As far as construction, I don't know. Dune and I have been talking about this quite a bit, but I know the drug testing is a issue we need to work through, and I'll make that a priority and start coming up with some scenarios, some ideas, and put that down on paper for everybody.
Pam?
I do believe, however, that we need something on paper that says, when you may not be able to give us a, you know, like new construction and actual
Yeah.
bottom line cost, but potentially what the cost would be, or a range or something. We can't just say
Yeah.
it's a minimal expense. We need something in writing to say what that expense will be.
Sure.
So, I mean, we don't have that. And we don't, as Ron mentioned, that's pretty critical that we look at that, and then of course the drug testing.
Yeah, I think we got the CMBA architects. I think it's a $50,000 estimate for their work. They got 5 things, which would be architectural and interior design work. Looking at some other areas, I think that would be the first step, and then from there we could start doing estimates. But
There you go. Well, just so we can get something and can touch and feel and look at.
Yeah.
And hold you to.
Yeah.
One of the things of them moving over there too is the workers wouldn't have to share the restrooms with the drug testing people, because you have 2 restrooms, one on the main floor, one on the second floor.
Yeah.
And we just reworked the one on the second floor, so the cost of that is not going to be included in this, which it would have been earlier because we hadn't had it done. But so that's the advantage. One of the probably the biggest advantage of moving over there is to have the 2 sets of restrooms.
Would it also be something that we need to wait until the courthouse addition is done so that the Veterans Court, which
Right.
is currently held in the federal building, would then no longer be held there?
And we've talked about that too, and that will help us get this done at a lower cost, because what my office is thinking about doing is, since it's minimal work as far as structurally inside the building, we can put up the walls, and we can fix the walls on the second floor, which we're going to start fixing anyway, just because we don't want it to keep deteriorating the way it is. And we'd have to hire somebody for the electrical work, and the IT and us work together to run the IT into those rooms, and we have IT over there. We have stuff we had over there for COVID. We'd have to hire the electrical wiring done and the ceiling put in. We can lay carpet, and this would give us time if the board, if we come back with numbers and the board says, okay, move forward with it, then we could start on it and be ready by the time the courthouse is done and everybody's moved over, and then we'd move these guys over.
So again, and to add to the cost, just a likely timeline. Doesn't have to be exact, but approximately, if you can just give us, an idea. So we know, so that, cost, timeline, blah, 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 so we know that you've thought through these things and this is what you're presenting to the board. I mean, would be helpful, because all this is great, and I know there's a lot of planning that's gonna go into that, and we appreciate it, but until I have something, at least from my
Sure, no, I
perspective,
understand.
and in hand, it's hard for me to say yes and no, and then at that point, also, there'll be the discussion about where you presently live, or housed,
Yeah.
and so what happens to that area.
Yeah.
So, and if the board has input as to, what would be an appropriate use of that building or disposal of.
Sure.
Yeah, and I've been pretty open with Dune, and I think I even mentioned with you, like, I'm a pretty patient person, and I know there's a lot of other projects going on with the addition and everything, so no huge rush. So we're just kind of setting the groundwork. But yeah, I appreciate that you'd want some more information on that stuff, and we'll start working on that.
Well, and I appreciate the remark you made about no rush, but there kind of is, because if we really want to keep moving, I mean, if,
Cost goes up if you wait too long.
well, and
exactly.
to put things on the back burner, just, I mean, it would be really nice to have an idea before the end of the year, when we've still got commissioners here that have been part of this, have been part of the discussion, and otherwise you're gonna, quite frankly, to make sure that people totally understand and approve, you're almost gonna have to start with the information all over again. So, I mean, it would be really nice to be able to at least wrap some of this up. I mean, I keep looking at, the loss of our two commissioners that have been here and understand, what's taking place and how one thing leads and leans on another. So, I'll miss that, And not that the new people won't be very capable, and please don't misunderstand how I say that. I'm sure they're great, but maybe have skills that, that we don't presently have on the board, who knows? But I'm just saying, it's all kind of a work in progress, and if we can keep progressing, I'd be all for it.
Okay?
My only question is
Thanks for
this,
putting it on the agenda.
well, this CMBA Architects, I mean, can we go forward without utilizing that to get estimates at this point? I don't know if that's a big key to the puzzle, is them to go in and they're asking.
I think we need to ask you guys. I mean,
We have to have an architect.
Right, we have to have an architect design to get it. And that'll run around, well, the proposal we had is old, and it'll probably run, that was $49,000, so this will be about a $50,000 thing,
or more.
somewhere in it.
Half a mil.
So,
So go
here we
ahead.
go. See, I mean, right now, we've got a proposal, but it's an old one. We don't know
Yeah.
how it'll finish.
Why don't you come back to us in 2 weeks with
Yeah.
a new offer from them?
Okay.
Okay? All right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop off, that's gonna cost.
Yeah, just
Drug
a,
testing, plan.
Yeah.
just a thought.
Yeah, and one of the things I would really encourage you to do as as an option is if it's necessary to find an off-site location. I just think that might be in the long run, might be a more workable solution if we can find something that's feasible to do that at. I mean, they're building coffee shops all over the state or the city. Maybe one of those will close. It'd be a great drive-through.
Coffee and drug test.
Drive-through.
Maybe we just contract.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you, Mark, for coming. Dune, you got anything else on facilities that we should be knowing about update-wise?
Yes. 2 weeks ago, you had put me in charge of getting somebody to help move. I have found a person. It's O'Neill's, and they'll charge $35 an hour. The going rate is around $60 to $80 an hour, so Pat says they're gonna do the demo anyway, and we have to move stuff in any demo. He says, I'll just charge you $35 an hour, except he doesn't wanna handle anything that they don't want scratched up and beat up. And I said, well, we can handle most of that. He says, most of what you're gonna handle is the big bulky stuff that we can't.
Yeah, the other
We'll
thing.
have most of that.
Scratch and beat everything up, is he?
No, but I just wanted to make sure that,
He doesn't want it like any $1,000 gift.
no, he doesn't want any antiques or anything beat up. But anything that the judges or the clerks don't want beat up, like Judge Lee's desk, he's gonna reuse that. We're gonna take it apart carefully, we're gonna wrap it up, and then we'll store it.
That makes more sense.
So,
The point is taking it apart and wrapping it up.
we have some
Okay.
antique bookshelves.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna wrap those up and store
Absolutely.
them, things like that. So,
Makes sense.
so we have an understanding of what's gonna happen. We talked about it, so it's good. I was also asked to put together a list. Well, I solicited some help with that. I got the county court clerk and the district court clerk coming up with lists that they wanna move. They're gonna check with their judges and stuff, what's gonna move, what's gonna stay, or what gets put in storage. So that'll get done. The other thing I have pertaining to the new building, I got a couple of things here I want to bring up. Julia Westcoat would like someone from the board and someone from the courthouse to meet with her on matching colors. We've got the carpet samples and she wants to match the colors with the fabric. I don't know if anybody wants to do that.
This is with,
The furniture for the courthouse, the new courthouse.
okay.
That looks like a Jane and Pam thing.
I'll do it.
You better, I don't know.
I think
Well,
that
you're
would
on
probably, yeah, I think both of them would be good choice for that.
What, they'll want to set a meeting, she wants to set a meeting up in her office where she's got all this fabric, and I have the carpet samples and different things, so I'll get them up there and we'll schedule a day if I can. Maybe you guys can give me a couple of days, you can go up there.
Okay.
Maybe have some free time. Okay.
Might be fun.
This morning I got word that there might possibly be some problems with the construction. I researched it, and one of them was laying tile, gluing tile to while there's moisture on the floor. I researched that, and they're using grout, and if you know, grout comes in dry bags, so you gotta make it wet. And you grout the floor, and then you grout the back of the tile, so yes, the floor is going to be wet. There's nothing you can do about it. And I said this before, and it's to my knowledge, and I'm in there about every day, all the drywall that was wet previously has been replaced along with the insulation, so that is done. And then I want to report on the Garland company that came back with the moisture on the courthouse, or the federal building roof. And it's great news. There is the only wet spots are around the drain, which is normal. And we have a couple drains that are leaking around them. So be lower cost to put a roof over it.
Awesome.
We can discuss a little more, since it's not on the agenda, we can discuss a little more next week in 2 weeks about that, because it's up whether to bid it. He thinks right now, with the way contractors are busy, his suggestion is to bid it in November and bid it for spring installation, late spring installation. So that's all I got. Any questions today?
No. I think everybody was included in the note about the information regarding the tile removal for asbestos in the old courthouse.
Right.
And that was pretty much expected that
Right.
that was gonna be,
I thought that was the only place we'd have real bad, real tile, real asbestos, and that's non-friable anyway, so. Oh, I do have one other thing. One of the projects out at the park that we want to do is put a new fence up along the road, take that old fence down. Bless you. We have 2 bids on it, both local. Unless the board wants us to go out for a 3rd bid that is not local, we'll do that. But I want to make sure, I'll bring them to the board meeting next week. If you want a 3rd bid, I'll get it, but
I think
over
if you got local people that are bidding it, I think that makes more sense.
Are you
I
okay?
like the idea myself. I mean, if we've got 2, and we've got
Yeah.
something to
And
compare.
they're both local companies here.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
So I'll bring them to the board in 2 weeks.
Okay,
Okay? Anything
let's
else?
move on to number 18, County Treasurer. I assume that's why Elaine is sitting, no?
I'm waiting for the Wood River discussion.
Oh,
I was gonna say 18, you're probably almost gonna say.
yeah, why don't we,
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve resolution number 26-26 to strike from the tax list uncollectible personal property taxes and the 2023 and 2024 uncollectible personal and real property taxes and accelerated personal and real property taxes.
Second.
Second.
3 seconds. Voting is open. 7 yes votes, motion carried.
okay, let's go on to Mr. Klein, County Attorney, regarding the Wood River Attorney General's decision,
Morning,
opinion.
There really isn't much to discuss on it. The position of the board was to deny the claim for Wood River that the Wood River made a while back. While we sought this guidance from the Attorney General's office, the Attorney General's office makes it seem pretty clear that the county cannot reimburse Wood River as they have requested. And I think this is now in Wood River's hands to try to decide what they're going to do, if anything, with respect to tax rolls that were not collected on their behalf. So as far as advising the board, I would just say stay the course with respect to any requests or claims that Wood River may make of the board. The answer would be to regrettably deny those claims should they come up, but I read in the newspaper that Wood River intends to seek a different course of action, and we will work with NERMA on what that might look like.
Okay.
That's the only way they can get their money is coming in with a claim against the bond.
There is no bond.
There's no, yeah.
Yeah, there's an Arizona emissions policy that covers all elected officials.
So that's a NERMA question to be able, and I think Ron summarized it properly, but it is Wood River's, whatever steps they take next, Hall County will have to adequately defend those steps in some degree. So, again, as far as the board, we have taken what I believe is the appropriate action in denying the claim originally, and then that was borne out by the Attorney General's opinion. Very comprehensive look at this. It seems, they seem to think it was a novel issue as well, and they've weighed in on what they think the result would be. So, obviously not ideal for the citizens of Wood River, but they're going to have to take next steps.
But this has never ever happened before.
It doesn't seem to have happened before under this circumstance.
Okay,
Thank you for all your
All right.
Somebody's glasses here?
That was that gentleman that was with you.
Oh, that was Mark's glasses.
Do you want to do 13 first, or?
Ken, I was gonna do 16, well, maybe this year.
Oh, okay, yeah, why don't we go on to 16? I went out and looked at the Trailblazer out at the Sheriff's Department. I also talked to the claims person at NERMA regarding the issue. Currently, we have in our possession a check for $19,000, which is with our $1,000 deductible, the loss was a $20,000 loss. We can cash that check, and then we have the option to retain the vehicle if we write a check back to NERMA for $5,000.
Yep.
And it seems to me, based on my observation, while the vehicle has damage, it's a 26 with 9,000 miles. Then you go out and look and see what you can find with 9,000 miles for $5,000. I don't think there's any question that it makes sense for us to buy it and put it back into service for the, now, we will not be able to carry full coverage on it, so we will have liability only, but our exposure is just the 5,000.
When we purchased the Trailblazer from the assessor's office from an insurance company for $5,000.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Yeah, one of the options, if it was something that somebody wanted to talk about, would be to replace the hood, but again, Gary's right, by the time you paint it and replace the hood, I'm not sure it's economically.
Buy the hood for a couple $100 and the paint will cost you probably 7 or 8.
Yeah, yeah. So it might be something that would make it more appealing aesthetically, but anyway, it'll be the nicest vehicle they drive, I can tell you that.
Fantastic.
Do you have any of the, do you have the other two yet?
We only have the Crown Vic,
Maybe
our old
you
Crown
know,
Vic.
Was there ever a vehicle that got into the shop that we had
We also need
encouraged
to
to get an
probably
appointment?
get a
I
salvage
think they
title from
took
NERMA.
them.
Yeah.
To
I'll
my
have to
knowledge,
send the title to
it
Rebecca,
has not
sell
come
the
back.
title.
And then we'll
But I
write them a
could
check
be-
for $5,000.
Yes.
Yep.
The shop guys usually only talk to the girls in back, so if it's back, I don't know,
Okay,
so.
no problem, just making sure we at least got it in.
Yeah, no, I know they took it,
Okay, very good,
yes.
thank you.
Awesome, thank you guys.
Yep.
They'll be happy to hear they have another one. Thank you.
Okay, number 13?
Yeah, number 13 under Public Works, during budget discussions, we had talked about purchasing another 10-yard dump truck. Based on timelines and everything else, I would encourage the board to approve the purchase of a Sourcewell quote for a new dump truck through Hanson International for $229,264.26. That is in comparison to other Sourcewell quotes from Freightliner. Floyd's here in town was $243,000, I believe. However, they ended up pulling their bid because we missed their deadline, so we'd have to go out and get a different bid. And then we got a bid from Peterbilt in Omaha for over $330,000. So Hanson International was by far the low bid, and it happens to be the same. We got this year's make on it, 2026. So if we went with Freightliner, it'd probably be a 2027. And if we were to do this, we're more likely to be able to get it in before the end of the budget year.
You wanna make the motion?
229, what?
229, 264, and 26.
I would make the motion to approve the quote received from Hanson International to order a new dump truck. The amount of $229,000.
264 and 26. That'd be for a truck and a box.
264.26 for the truck and a box.
And I'd second it.
We didn't get a vote on the motion to transfer the vehicle to the
Oh, you're right.
the assessor's
To,
office.
oh, yes.
So we'll do this one first. That's gonna be for the motion for the assessor car.
Oh, this is for the car.
Yeah, this is
Karen
for
made
the
motion,
car.
Karen seconded.
Okay, voting is open for the car. Okay. Seven yes on that one. Let me get another one. Okay, voting open for the dump truck. Or truck, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is dump truck, okay?
Seven yes on that one. Well, we're caught up now.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, if you recall, last meeting,
Chairman, I'm
yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. Can we also include in that last motion to authorize the chair to sign the purchase agreement? Jane, would you be all right to amend your motion on that?
Sure. And allow the chair to sign the purchase agreement
For the Sourcewell dump truck.
for the Sourcewell dump truck.
We do. You want to open the voting one more time, Marla?
Okay, I'm sorry, what?
Well, we just amended it to include.
Yes, yeah, I did get that. I'm sorry, that's what I was writing you down. Amended to authorize chair to sign.
You want to copy and get copies?
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, and, okay, voting is open.
Okay.
Is it open? No, it's not, okay.
It is now.
It is open, okay. Sorry, I was typing. Seven yes on that one to amend the motion.
Okay, again, if you recall from last meeting, I appointed Scott and Pam to a committee with myself to work on guide salary study parameters and also to investigate. We met and went over some of the ideas. I've talked to the HR person at Sarpy County. We've talked to NACO. I've talked to Jerry Pigsley, trying to create some ideas. Both Pigsley and NACO strongly recommended that we use Paul Essman, who was who we used last time. I did visit with Paul. He plans to be at our meeting in 2 weeks. I have, in the packet was a guide of salary study parameters. One of the things that we need to think about in terms of if we would ever have to go to CIR, the figures that we would use for comparison are counties either twice our size or half our size, so we would use those counties. The last time we did a salary study, we went outside of the state because of the MSA
Yeah.
process. And real candidly, one of the things the HR person at Sarpy County told me, they did a salary study, initiated one prior to her coming, and they did that similar type of thing, and she felt it was not very useful because the comparisons weren't local. I also added a couple counties, possibility of a couple counties that are not half our size, but they are contiguous to Hall County. In other words, we have a lot of people that travel from Howard, Hamilton, Merrick, Adams County that work in Grand Island. So it makes sense that we would compare to them also. And if you looked at what the other things that we talked about would be a comparison of job descriptions and job qualifications. What does that job require you to have as experience and education? Include all union and non-union positions. Include department heads, elected officials, and deputies. One of the things that we are going to encounter in the future is that we're going to be replacing a number of department heads as they retire. And it doesn't make sense that we don't have a step program for those county department heads, because it's hard to imagine that we would hire somebody to replace some of our department heads who have maybe 20 years of experience with somebody that doesn't have that same background. And also, the other problem is when you hire a department head and all you ever give them is a cost of living increase, they have no potential for growth. So, you know, building inspector, all of the different positions that we don't have steps. So that would be one of the things. And then it made sense to me that maybe we might look outside the formal document, a study of either Sarpy or Lancaster County, just for comparison's sake. Not use it as a basis for the decision, but at least see where we, because one of the problems that we have is that some of the smaller counties aren't gonna have some of the jobs that we have, you know. And then create a step scale for all non-union employees with similar step increases by percentage across all positions. If you look at the way our step increases work on some of our positions, it's all over the map in terms of the percentage increase that they receive each year. That should be consistent. And we need to, when we do negotiations for our union positions going forward, do the same thing. Because a step increase ought to be worth 1.5%, 2%, or whatever it is. It shouldn't be willy-nilly. And then finally, then compare and evaluate other benefits, including but not limited to health insurance, retirement benefits, vacation, sick leave, holidays. How do we compare to other people in terms of those things? So that's kind of what the group came up with, and I have forwarded that sheet to Paul, and I visited with him probably for half an hour the other day in terms of, and he will plan to be at our meeting in 2 weeks.
Where's he located?
Lincoln. Yeah. Yeah.
Do
So-
we need any action on that today, or wait 2 weeks to make a motion to engage him?
Well, the only thing I would say is that maybe approve the parameters as a basic guide for the salary study.
I'd make a comment that Ron was the most involved, I would say, of the committee getting the parameters put together, and I really thank him for doing that. And with that being said, I'd make a motion to approve the salary study parameters for the salary study being performed by Paul Extra.
And I'll second it. If that's appropriate, since we were on the committee.
Okay.
Okay, voting is open. Does it have a timeline when that would be done?
Well, those are things that we need to talk to him about when he comes in 2 weeks. And I don't know that he'll have any numbers at that point in terms of what it's gonna cost us. I think it's more a matter of some communication.
I agree, yeah. I think it was kind of a little bit floating. I think there was a range, but I don't think we had a hard number the last time, if I remember correctly. So, and I'll tell you this, I have really given this a great deal of thought, because the reason that the appointed officials they're called appointed officials, because they didn't want to be considered as the rest of the employees, because they were management, so to speak. But I think that the idea of the idea of step plan and all that is a really good one in today's world. I think it is a different setting. I think, thought a lot about it, and I think Ron is really, I think it's a great idea. So anyway, I thought that, because it's bound to come up.
I agree.
But I think that it's the right thing to do. It's just a different mindset.
Well, otherwise, what happens is you hire them at a particular salary, and all they ever get is a cost of living.
That's right.
And if you're gonna hire them based on their experience, you don't wanna necessarily start them where the person they're replacing is at.
That's
If that
right. person
person has a lot more experience and so forth, so, anyway. Why don't we do committee or board member reports?
Anybody want to go before me? Anyway, well, I had an extension board meeting, and Hall County Extension Educator honored with prestigious national awards. Elizabeth Ekstrom, our Hall County Extension Educator, has been recognized as one of the top agricultural educators in the country. And we have her in Hall County. Isn't that cool? And then Cammie's been out at the farmer's market, giving safety, like canning tips and, preserving the vegetables and things like that. She's had booths out there. They've done, Diet and LaDonna has been doing back to school in Wood River, and they've been doing some things at the library. It's just been a busy, and she still does her food safety for the food trucks. And there's classes all the time for that. Then at Harvest to Harmony, the Grand Marshal was announced. And I knew that long ago, but I couldn't say anything. And so anyway, it will be from Carroll. It will be, go ahead.
The fire chief for Carroll Fire Department, Steve Osika.
Yeah, and he's in charge of the CERT team at, am I saying that right? CERT?
Oh, the strike team?
Strike team, sorry, I said that wrong. So anyway, that's why we chose him as Grand Marshal, because the firemen have been so involved with all the wildfires and taking care of Nebraska's ecosystem the best they can. And so it will be red, white, and blue. It will be fun. It's going to be beautiful this year. We do have a head sponsor, which is Woodhouse, and they're new to the community, so that will be wonderful. They will be the only sponsor for vehicles in the parade. I did go down to Office of Violence Prevention. I think maybe we're going to see something come forward with the Grand Island Police Department, a program that they might be able to go for grant funding. But I also want to say in that same voice that we had 2 programs that we awarded grants to, and they were not completing the requirements. And with the governor's budget and our shortfall at the state, we had $200,000 come back in. We're going to try and re-award that out, but we don't know if we will get that money back again. So that's my update.
Any other committee or board member reports? Why don't we take a 5-minute break and then we'll get into the budget.
Everybody else had a,
Sounds great.
had an action item or something for their committee report.
$1,393,075. I do want to say before we go through some of these calculations that the growth number is much higher than the original estimate from the assessors, what their original estimate was when they gave it to us. They originally had given us an estimate of about 2.55%. I think we were using, like approximately 2% to be conservative as we worked with you on some of the calculations in the prior meetings. The actual percentage came out to 5.71%. So as you can imagine, it's going to have a big impact on both the authority calc and the allowable growth or pink postcard calculation. And so just to know, if the numbers that we're talking about don't seem familiar, that had a big impact on both of these calculations. Working your way down, now that we have the total evaluation, the levy is accurate. And so you can see that as the budget stands right now, the levy per $100,000 is sitting at the $391.98 compared to last year's $400.03. Any initial questions on just that first page? Gary? Yeah.
We were talking about this before we come back on.
Yep.
Last year, the growth in dollars from the total valuations. Last year was 612 million, and this year it's 482. The growth that you have on our sheets last year was from 612 down to 612 million, and on the books it was 141 million.
Yeah, you're saying the inflation plus the growth compared to just the growth. Gotcha.
This year, it's 482, and the growth is 482, and the growth was 463 million. It's reversed, and how come such a difference?
So, to be clear, not reversed. It couldn't be reversed. The total is still a little bit higher, but barely. I also had the same concern when the certified valuation came through. Kim sent me the valuation. I obviously saw the 5.7 growth percentage, much higher than anticipated. And then I kind of did some backwards math and said, okay, if the growth number is the 463 million and we only had a $482 million difference, I just basically backed into like that the inflation amount on the, let's say, existing or older properties was less than 1%, and that did not seem correct to me. I did push back. I basically sent my questions back to Kim, who then worked with the assessor's office. You guys all know you got an updated valuation, but the change was very, very minimal. I can't say that I was provided a great explanation. There was some questions about if TIF had anything to do with, the low amount of other increases. But based off what I've seen and what I've been told of what kind of increases were applied, and there's a document on the Hall County website of what other increases were applied to properties, it still seems low to me. I pushed back. They said this is the right information. Not sure. I mean, I know that I believe Christy looked at it, Mandy looked at it. Kim can shed some light too. She talked to that office directly. But I did push back to say, can we please make sure that this information is correct?
This is the first time in a lot of years. I don't know, Pam, you ever remember where we got 2 certified valuations? Ever?
Well, it happens even from other counties.
No, I'm talking about here though. We've never had two different certified valuations.
Not
I
that
just
I
want to make sure this
remember.
is right, where we don't end up with a mess down the road.
Right.
So much money is 3 times.
We're still fixing one mess already.
When the certification, the valuation certification comes out, the assessor's office also has to balance with the Department of Revenue. And I think the first time it wasn't balanced. So then when the second valuation came out, it was balanced. That is something, it's not just right here, they have to balance with the state. So I don't know, I can't answer that question. I just, have to use the information that we're given.
I don't understand that. Do you understand that?
That it has to balance with the state?
That was the email that I received, that the first time, I don't think she balanced with the state, and then the second time, it was balanced, and so that was we used the second certification.
What are we balancing? the state?
I do not have a lot of information about how the valuation is come up with. That's not an area I'm an expert in. That would have to be assessor answered questions.
Does the number come from the state?
Not sure that anybody in this building would have any answers besides them.
The assessor in this conversation or a representative from their office?
So the information was basically, I mean, what Kayla already stated, that, you know, we asked for more verification so that we wouldn't have to run into problems in the future. And that was the information we were provided. I mean, we could ask the assessor or the deputy assessor to come down. I'm just not sure what information.
And unfortunately, Mandy just has never ever done that. It's always been something the assessor has done. What if we, if we have concerns, is contact the property tax division. There's liaisons for each county from the property tax division that, you know, I'm sure, and I can't think of her name right now, that maybe she could help verify what that means, and they have to balance with the state. That would be my next suggestion, is just contact the state to get an explanation on it.
If the number actually comes from the state, I feel pretty confident. I didn't know that it did. All these years, I had no idea.
There's I definitely have an email that Kim sent me from Christy that just says all of my numbers are in and I am balanced.
Yeah,
So
that's what.
but that's all the,
It
that's.
says what?
Just says all of my numbers are in, I'm balanced. It doesn't technically say with the state, it just says I'm balanced. But we could confirm that with them.
I don't know what that means.
Right.
I think that's what we should ask. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think
What
we
does it
should-
mean that we're balanced?
Mhm.
And who are you balancing with?
Right.
Would
I think that's
central
fair.
assessed be part
Would you
of
not?
the
I mean,
issue?
if there's a
Does
question,
those
let's
numbers
ask.
come from the state?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't either.
Centrally assessed is part of the total valuation.
Yeah.
I don't have the breakout, the certified valuation doesn't provide a breakout of that, so I don't know what kind of impact centrally assessed property may or may not have had on the current year. Because that breakout isn't provided in the certification. Sometimes we do get it when we're doing some of the budget planning, and centrally assessed property is usually the one that they are the least certain about, maybe I should say.
So what happens if the numbers aren't right and we get further on down with their budget?
What could happen if the numbers aren't right? So, I mean, obviously, if the valuation or the growth number would change, we would have to follow budget amendment processes, which after a certain point, you can't amend, your levy, because that, people have to pay their taxes. And so you can't change that after a certain point. So we would have to do some kind of backing into, with the new information, how we would get to the same levy, whether that meant cutting expenses from certain places or making transfers from cash reserves or lowering cash reserves. We would have to somehow back into how do we get to the same levy, because after a certain date you can't change your levy.
It would affect every tax, it could affect every tax rate that we calculate, if the rev value.
If the total valuation changed, yes. My hope is, my hope is, I don't like saying that, but it's the best thing I think I can say, is that the valuation, overall, that increase seems reasonable. I'm more, personally, professionally, the growth number is a little more concerning to me, which primarily just affects these two calculations, the allowable growth and the authority.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Mandy.
So the growth number would primarily just affect those calculations. Which I'm not sure if the state has ever run into. Like, for example, let's say, hypothetically, we finish this meeting and you come up with a number that's below joint public hearing threshold. And then if we found out later that you should have been above, I don't feel like there's anything you can do. And the new process starting next year would obviously prevent this whole problem, but we're in a conundrum of timing. So I don't think there's anything that could be done there. With the authority calc, it would be recalculated, and you have enough unused authority right now that I wouldn't foresee a major issue. Even if the growth number changed, you would basically dip into the unused authority. Not great, but also not necessarily a violation.
If this was just $20 or $25 million off, I probably, from last year,
Right.
You would probably say, well, it's 3 times what it was last year.
Okay, I just pulled up 24-25, and it was 150,137,119. The last year, 25-26, was 141,393,75. So that's staying relatively in the same.
Yes,
Three
which
times.
makes,
So I think the question does become, like, and I know we're all being kind of subjective here, none of us is the assessor or evaluation expert, but obviously we know there is a lot of growth coming in to Hall County. There's a lot of things going on. And we all know that, at least if you've, even built your own property, but if you are also involved in business development, it can take a period of time for actual properties to hit the rolls. And so I don't know if this is just a timing issue of, all these things that are being built and it's all kind of hitting the books at once.
Could we call the city and see if they've had an increase in
So you mean it could be like the new mall, the new Target, the theater,
Could even be properties out, out by me, out by the hospital that have.
I mean, Titan and everything else.
Yeah, TIF's a good point.
That's TIF.
And that's where I don't know if the assessor could go back upstairs and look at what makes up the growth. I think that might help a lot if we know if they could tell us what's in the growth number. It's this property, it's this property. Maybe, I don't know if they can, but that could be a question.
All those apartments,
but it
all those
doesn't make up
apartments
for time.
Hey, Mandy, you mind pulling
No,
up the
poor
chair?
chair by me, Mandy.
I don't know how much help I'm
It's
gonna
okay.
be, so.
We appreciate your coming down.
Mandy, we're not trying to throw you under the bus.
Oh, no, I know, I don't,
Mandy's got a question.
Thanks for being here.
yeah,
Period.
I'll try.
So, okay, I think the main concern, which I know that I think me and Kim had sent some questions back about like the growth number and just it being so much larger than it was previously. And I think the board's just looking to gain some comfort. Are you able, I guess there was a question about being balanced with the state.
Right.
Can you explain what that means?
So basically, we send all of our information in our system. The state gets it. We have to balance with what they have. The first time she sent the stuff, something was off on personal property. I don't know what didn't balance with personal property. She just said, I did not balance. I have to rerun them. I said, okay, great. They were running when I got here Friday morning already. So then, I think once I had given them to Kim and everything, Kim had some questions. And I said, well, I'm assuming she balanced because she started running them. I did double check with the state, the Department of Revenue. I talked to Amber Berlin. She goes, I haven't gotten to Hall County yet, but I will let you know ASAP. She sent back and she said, yep, everything balanced. So the second time, after she fixed whatever was not balanced in personal property, whichever she fixed, made us balance. So that's when the valuations then, yes. What that was, I don't know though.
Does the growth include personal property?
I don't know on that sheet. I don't ever look really
Just
close
that
to it.
Hold on, the certified valuation.
Yeah.
I mean, like, for instance, I know that, for instance,
I know my personal property went up this year.
Cause
well,
there's
I'm
like
just
a
talking,
little,
I'm just talking about, like, for instance, the ethanol plant in
Yeah.
Wood River had a huge amount of personal property.
Right.
well, so, some of that got taken. I think the last couple years they've amended that and some of it's got moved off of personal to real estate.
The definition on the certified valuation form, if you have the certified valuation in front of you, it's this italicized paragraph right below. It does say any increase in personal property valuation over the prior year.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was an asterisk somewhere. on it.
Because personal property always goes down because it depreciates.
Yep.
So I think what the state is assuming is that if there is an increase, there has to be new stuff because personal property doesn't go up like real estate, it depreciates. So if there's an increase, that gets added. So that, is there a way, Mandy, I don't know if there is, it's truly a question. Is there a way for you guys to tell like what is in that growth number? So if we could see some of the bigger chunks, it might just bring more comfort of like what.
I can ask if there's somewhere we can run that.
I don't know if
yes.
there's a way to see, a big chunk of this growth is this development project,
Right.
or this personal property amount, or if there's just, I mean, we don't need every single detail,
Right.
but just some comfort of, this is a whole bunch of things hitting the rolls in the same year,
Right.
or.
I can certainly ask
Okay.
if there's anything that can be,
Well, if it matches the state.
like,
I mean, I think we'll have to continue the meeting with what we have and see what we can find out, but hopefully, in the meantime, Mandy can get us some information that gives more comfort on the growth number.
Well, it just scares me because we've had situations before. We had 2 Walmarts come in one year.
right.
We had, we've had stuff like that. We had the new hospital built. We had, I mean, there's just some stuff's gone on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, certainly the Conestoga Mall redevelopment is certainly a big,
And Legacy, they added a bunch of stuff out at Legacy, and so I mean there has been
Yeah.
big
growth.
yeah,
big growth.
but
Yes.
Wow, I mean,
Just a matter of how it hits the
wasn't-
tax rolls.
Okay, so when it's on a TIF project, you still collect the tax from it? Because it goes to the bond, to pay the bond.
Right.
So
So
do
the
you
base-
have that number in this growth?
I think they changed it that TIF has to be added to growth now.
Okay, so that could be that growth.
Yes.
That would make
But
sense.
it wouldn't be
When?
in the total taxable valuation because it's not
It goes
taxed.
to
Right.
bond.
Right,
Right.
it can't be taxed by the county for their operations.
If I'm thinking correctly, they never wanted us to include TIF before in growth, but then I think they changed that a couple years ago, and now we have to include TIF into growth.
That
I
could
don't
be
see anything
why-
in the paragraph that says either way. On this certified valuation, I'm not seeing anything with a quick skim that addresses TIF in any.
You know what?
way.
I think you're totally right, because remember that meeting that we had in York?
Mm-hmm.
And they said that the TIF calculation comes into the growth. I'm really sure they did.
I think
I
it
still
got
have those
changed a
slides,
couple
but I don't
years
recall.
ago.
Would this be the first year then?
No, I think last
And
year
Last year was
possibly.
lower than the year before.
But
Oh,
that's what the question is last year, the growth was 141 million last year, and it's 463, 3 times this year.
okay. I will look into that. I'll look. I tried to look for last year's copy, and I could not find it when Kim had asked me about
I've got
it.
even 24s, I got it under my feet here.
you just
Okay.
have the number though, you don't have the
Yeah.
But I
breakdown.
can definitely check on that.
Well, would you maybe go up and do that while we're finishing up?
Yes. I will try to get an answer ASAP.
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay. So while they're looking into that, I guess I don't see any other way we can proceed forward than as if the numbers are correct. Hopefully, if they're balanced with the state, we won't get a change, but,
I do have one question.
yep,
On the courthouse bond,
yes.
our bond payment is 3 million something a year, it's just about 3 million a year.
Yeah, I could go to the pages and look it up. Yep, but,
Last year, we collected $3,687,800.
yep, that's what we levied. Yep.
And this year, we're gonna collect 4,329,000. Yeah, 4,329,000. If our payment's only $3 million, and I understand taxes don't come in evenly all during the year. And if you're paying taxes and you don't have the money, we're getting what, 4.5 on the county, somewhere between 4 and 4.5 for our money. If the taxpayer has to go to the bank, if you've got decent credit, I think you can borrow it from 6 to 7, somewhere in there. If you can't pay it, you gotta pay the county 14%. Why couldn't we take, if the formula is gonna hurt us, if we cut a whole lot out of the regular portion of the budget, why couldn't we take that courthouse bond, the levy down on that, and keep it the same as last year? It'd still give us $600,000 to get the taxes in at a certain amount of, give the taxes the right amount of time to come in, that we cover our bond payment. But we could cut that by $1 million plus, and still, help the taxpayers and still pay our obligation on the courthouse bond.
If you do that, Gary, it will reduce your unused authority.
Yeah, and that reduction also would reduce your, it would increase your unused authority, which right now you're being capped at and losing authority. The bond number is definitely something we can move around. When we set out to start this budget, me and Kim tried to get it as close to the 5.2 cents that you're allowed as possible. I know that with 7 members, there is not always full agreement, but there has been discussion in the past about levying more than just the minimum bond payment, so that there will be some dollars available at the 5-year point to do an early pay down and get the bond paid off in less than 20 years and save money on interest. And so that can be a discussion amongst the board about today what your priorities are for those dollars.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that the more that you can collect, that you will have the ability to shorten the term of the bond is going to be to the benefit of the taxpayer. It's, as Jane said one time, it's the difference between making the minimum payment on your credit card payment or paying the balance off. Which do you want to do?
They're talking about interest rates going up now, possibly 1 to 2%.
That still doesn't.
So why would we ask the taxpayers, if we're getting 4 to 4.5% on our money, why would we ask the taxpayers to turn around and either have to pay 6 or 7% or 14% so that we can make 4.5% off their money? Why would we want to do that?
Why would they have to pay 6 or 7%?
Because if they have to borrow the money, and all we're gonna do is turn around and put it in the bank and get 4 or 4.5% off of it, that don't even make good business sense.
It doesn't make good business sense to pay it for 20 years when you can pay it for 15.
But if interest rates are going up, you know,
Our rate's locked in though, and then if you're able to
But it's only
prepay it
locked
after
in for
5
5,
years.
right?
Yeah, we can after 5 years, we can prepay the bond. It don't that
You
mean?
can make
We
a principal.
can, but we can pay extra on the bond, but we don't have to renegotiate.
Right,
Right, you do not have to refinance when you do a buy down.
Basically, it's like you pay your,
You can do both, but you only have to do, you
Yeah,
can
because
also
if
do one or
interest
the
rate goes
other.
up, we can stay right where we're
Absolutely.
at.
right.
Correct.
You're
Yes.
making
Yeah.
additional
So,
payments to the principal, which lowers the total amount being borrowed, which is
But we-
where your
but
interest
if-
is based on.
right.
But if the
Correct.
bond rate goes up to 4 or 5, we can leave it at the 2,
But
almost.
Scott, you know a lot of farmers, they have to borrow money to pay their property taxes. I've got people right now that can't afford to pay their property taxes. And they're probably, if they can't borrow the money, they gotta pay the 14%.
I
Just
agree
don't
with
make
Ron. I agree with Ron. If you want to make the motion, Gary, go ahead and make the motion.
I move that we lower the bond payment on the.
Now, you understand in doing that, you're going to reduce our unused authority that we're carrying forward, which is what we're trying to keep up as high as we can. So you're basically,
Hurting us on 2 sides.
yeah.
But go ahead and make the motion.
I'll move we lower the courthouse bond payment, or what we're gonna collect this year.
Is this mine?
To $3,687,800, the same that it was last year. And that gives us it still gives us right at $600,000 to cover the,
How much
taxes.
would it change in our budget authority? You've got the calc.
Yeah, you mean like how much, as part of this discussion, do you want me to review the other calculations at all?
Just review what we would. lose
Just the
in our,
authority?
Just the authority.
So before we even make the cut, before we've made any changes to this budget at all, you're currently losing $2,118,324.22 in authority.
Line number 28.
Over 2 million.
If you want to know how to calculate that number, you go to the second page of the authority calc, and it's the difference between line 4 and line 7. So line 4 is what you've created in the past plus this year. And again, keep in mind, this number has changed. If you're looking at numbers from the last meeting, this number has changed because of the increased growth calculation. Because now you're allowed even more authority because you had a high growth percentage. So right now, you've created the 2.144 million, you have 1.438 from last year. So you have a total of 3.582. But you're being limited to line 6, and you also see that on line 7, the $1.464 million number. So before you make any change, you're losing $2,118,324.22. So if we're adjusting,
This would be an additional cut of 600 plus that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do the difference, but yes. 3,687,800 is, yeah, an additional $642,124.48 if I heard Gary's number correctly. I think it was just last year's number.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah.
And interestingly enough, I mean, I don't know what that would save on a $100,000 valuation.
Do you want to know?
It would go down 5 cents.
I will tell you, cause we're at
Or excuse me.
391.98, so if we cut 642,124.48, we would be at 384.50
$384.50.
minus, yeah, on $100,000 evaluation, so 391.98. So per $100,000 evaluation, it'd be $2.52 if I didn't fat finger
So on an
anything.
average home,
89,
$300,000 house, you get $6 back.
yeah.
Don't buy
And
one
average
latte.
in Grand Island is 250, so.
People
so
pay more
yes.
than that on a cup of coffee. So is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion and second on the floor.
Is it open? Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't know if we could do that. Yep. Voting's open.
Seven yes.
What?
You gotta click your next one, find out the count.
7 people voted, but
Oh,
I know I didn't.
okay, sorry about that. It didn't pop up. I'm sorry. Okay, 2 yes, 5 no, motion failed.
So I guess I got a question for the board. Is it the intent of this board to tax the people so we can pick up the additional spending authority? We can tax them at that so we can spend more in future years?
Gary, in case you didn't listen to what I asked John Cannon, I said that's one of the dilemmas about the way this current system works. It makes absolutely no sense that we should increase the levy so that we can increase our ability to carry forward unused authority, but that's the law the way it reads. It's stupid.
Until it's changed, we have to live by it.
Yeah. So the question becomes, for instance, let's say our salary study determines that we're far behind where we should be. Are we gonna have the money and the authority to even do anything about it?
And there's nothing the board
There's
can do.
enough money in this budget. Oh, we have 13 million in inheritance. We didn't even use all the casino money. You know?
We use
How
all,
much money do we need to take from the taxpayers? There's people out there that are hurting, and we're gonna say, because we wanna spend more money next year, we're gonna tax you more this year?
How come these people never come to the meeting?
They did.
Who?
We had a room full of people, and it fell on deaf ears.
$6, they're gonna say, maybe $4. Is that kind of really,
We
now
got
I
the-
don't have to get along.
We got to the end of the budget where we thought we were gonna start making cuts, and all of a sudden we find out we're hurting ourselves next year, so we're gonna spend more.
That's just the way the law works, Gary.
Gee.
Okay, let's move on.
So on the second page of the packet is the authority calc. I know we just very, very quickly touched over this, but just so everyone understands. So the property tax request that carries over, so basically the part of the calc, it starts under this second blue line. You always have to start with what you levied in the prior year. That's a number from the Department of Revenue. And then you're getting your growth percentage. That is the number that has increased drastically since the last time we talked. Assessor's looking into that. Inflation percentage, that has not changed. That's been the same this entire process. And the state has confirmed that number early on. So and then there's the exceptions, which you're not utilizing. So if you track all the way to the bottom, you'll see that in the budget as it stands now, you're creating the authority of the $2,144,609.52. That carries to the next page. That page then shows that line 1 on the next page is the amount of unused authority that you brought over from last year, basically. And then line 3 is that same number from page 1. That's the amount you're creating in the current year to get the total on line 4 of the $3,582,944.37. the way that the old calculation worked, and the way that would be great if it worked this way is you'd get to carry all that over. However, when the state created this calculation, they also created a carryover maximum of 5% of the previous year's property tax request authority. And so that is what's being calculated on line 5. It's the prior year tax request authority times the 5% gets you the number on line 6. And then you can only take over the smaller of the two lines, line 6 or line 4. So you're not getting the 3.5, almost $3.6 million number. You're getting the 1.464 million, which is how I calculated how much authority you are, essentially leaving behind, which is the $2,118,324.22. If you go to the next page, this is the allowable growth percentage. This is the calculation that determines whether or not you have to attend the joint public hearing. Keeping in mind that format will change entirely next year, but for now, we're in the same rules as we have been the last several years. Again, you get the 2% that has not changed, but the growth percentage on line 3 has increased greatly changing how this calculation is done. And so on line 6 is the total amount that you can levy without attending the joint public hearing. Line 7 is how much is currently, under your property tax request before any changes are made. So right now, the difference between those numbers is $1,193,964.20. I basically have, and I don't know, I think I sent it to Kim, I don't know if Kim can pull it up, but I basically put together an Excel sheet that shows, where you sit, and I came up with different scenarios, and I can keep changing this Excel, whatever scenarios the board wants to look at, as far as how different, whether you want to be right under joint public hearing or if you want to use all the authority, and I can come up with any scenario you want and show you what the levy impact is going to be of those scenarios. Because I knew that with two conflicting calculations, you may want to see different scenarios. I also have the salary, so the salary study estimate is the second table there. I took the personal services from this current year's budget, so total personal services. Keep in mind that does include salaries, retirement, FICA, and health insurance. So it's just the total of all those. And then I can update that however you want, but I just did 5%, 6%, 7%. I have no idea what the salary study may come up with. Marla did have Kim send me the last time you guys had a salary study, and some departments had to have 8 and 9% increases for 2 or 3 years in a row to get caught up. I'm hoping, since it's only been 10 years, that the increase is not that drastic. But these are just for illustration purposes of what a 5, 6, and 7% increase would equate to in dollars for the county. And then you can see up above, I just said what was the average levy for 5 years, and so I am showing you the levies so you can see how I came up with that number. I'm just showing my work so you know that I did the work. So I can change these calculations. We can add rows of however, and I can go and sit by Kim and add rows, or I can do it here and then resend it to her, however you would like, to work up basically any scenario you guys want to look at.
Well, I'll start it. I am of the opinion that we want to try and stay below the postcard limit. That would be my primary concern.
Looks like we got quite a bit of room there, so.
Yeah.
And I rounded down on that a little bit when I did that calc, just to leave a little bit of space so that we didn't have some kind of number, food, or bar get us in trouble. But yes. So, for example, going off what Ron just said, the no pink post, if you don't want to attend the joint public hearing, you want to stay under the allowable growth calculation. The scenario that I ran up there is I've added $1,150,000 to the property tax asking. That gives you almost $50,000 cushion from the actual gap of $1,193,000 and change. The levy comes out at about $405.38, And just for knowledge, the loss of authority would be reduced to $968,324.22.
So we're gonna take where we had, the total base property tax request authority is the 31,322,804. So we had that basically $1,200,000, where it's 198, whatever. And so we're gonna bump that up so we can we would have less of our loss of, spending authority.
Yeah, if we added the 1.15, instead of losing 2.12 million, you would lose 968,000.
And that takes the millage to what, 4, 5?
405.38
That's $5.35 more.
than last year.
That's if we did. These are scenarios.
In relation to a salary study, that difference would cover approximately a 3.5% increase.
What's really interesting is we do
It's a
that.
really conundrum. It's the stupidest law that I've ever seen.
But without us, even without a salary study, we're gonna probably give the 3.5.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, so,
Yeah. Well, and that doesn't count what potentially, let's say you have a bad year on your health insurance.
that's right, no, it doesn't do any of that.
I've
But
been awfully fortunate the last 3, maybe 5 years on health insurance. It hasn't really.
what you know has made me nervous, especially this year.
Oh, yeah.
Because
So then we
when
would-
everybody else went up, we went down 12, the equivalent
I
of
agree.
12%.
I agree.
Page 3,
I don't
we would
think they
take
know what they're
that
doing.
down on line 7 to 900 and something.
On page 3, what line, Karen? Sorry.
Line 7, so our unused budget authority, instead of being the.
So line 7 would not change. You would still get to only take over
So it'd be
the
line
1.464. It's just it's gonna make smaller lines 3 and lines 4.
Right.
You can still, no matter what, you guys cannot bring over more than 1,464,000. So unless you reduce your authority below that, that's going to be the number.
So line 3 would be what, 900, and what did you rather?
So if we take the 2144609.52, sorry, wrong number, the 3582.944.37. Well, wait, are you asking about the loss or what your unused, or what your carryover would
What
be?
changes on line 3 and line 4?
So line 3,
Would be the 9 something. So that-
but basically both of those numbers are gonna be reduced by the 1,150,000. So line 3 would be, I'm gonna put my commas in here so I don't mess up. So line 3 would be $994,609.52. And line 4 would be $2,432,944.37, which then again, the difference between then that new line 4 and line 6 is not changing, is gonna be the $968,324.22. So you're still losing, but you're losing considerably less. That's just the balance, I mean, the balancing act here is between what's the levy doing, are you doing the joint public hearing, and how much authority are you losing? Those are kind of the 3 plates that I, theoretically see you guys kind of balancing right now.
Quite frankly, it's, in my way of thinking, it's somewhat of a compromise. All the things that can be brought forward, all of the scenarios that we could post, it's somewhat of a compromise. We're still giving up some. We're not raising, really by much per taxpayer, I'm saying. And we're trying to make sure that there's adequate income to pay our staff, our employees. It seems to me like, and no pink cards.
Yeah.
So, it seemed that that should have some appeal to most everyone.
And we're raising it.
But it won't.
Is there a compromise that we could make between the two?
Well,
And we're just
I mean,
not-
I think that is common,
Well,
right?
But we had a lot of growth, and now we're increasing the levy along with that, because when I sit in these meetings and listen to other counties, if they've had growth, then they lower the levy, because they've rolled in more money.
Isn't this the worst year with this new calculation?
This new tip thing?
No, it's.
The authority calcs.
This is
I mean,
second year.
It's the second year, but
Second year.
yeah, but the unused carry forward is slightly different because technically last year you didn't have an unused number, so it was a slightly different carry forward calc last year.
yeah, because it started
Well, you
last
still
year.
had to be under 5%, and you guys just barely were, so you were able to maintain all of your old lid number. Barely, but you were.
But a lot of counties lower the levy when they had a lot of growth. I've
That's
sat in
ideal.
them, But we've never
I don't
lowered
know
our
that they're
levy.
on their face.
You can see the 5-year levy history there. So you'll see how you lowered it, like just over the, and I could come up with 10 years really quick if you want, but you can see how it came down and then went up and then went down again last year. So it's, and again, a big part of that is the valuation. I'm not entire, if I recall, maybe before Christie, some of the valuations weren't getting updated timely, and so you'll see like in the year Christie takes over it, there's another year or two of like very, very small increases, like less than 1%, and there's big increases. That is partially the impact of the pandemic and what happened to property values in that time, but I also think some of that impact was just the timing of when some properties were updated, because they, I don't think, had been being updated timely before that. I think when I took the average of the information Kim provided you, and I just said, what's the average of the 10 years, and it was approximately 4.5%, which seemed fairly reasonable over a 10-year period. But yeah, some years it's less than 1%, and some years, I think one year it was like 13% because of what was going on and playing catch up.
And all these numbers are assuming your property can go up in value.
What numbers?
All the numbers that we're looking at right here, this is all assuming your property didn't go up in value, from last year with inflation.
You mean like the levy dollar number?
Yeah, the
Right.
dollar numbers that we're putting on somebody, that's assuming that their farm ground or their house didn't go up in value.
Right.
Not very many pieces of property stayed the same.
So they get hit in value and they get hit on the levy.
I was in a meeting the other day, a landlord told me that he had, the 1st of August, he had 38 of his tenants moved out of Hall County.
I had another landlord that came and protested his taxes this year that told me just 2 days ago that he had 2 vacancies, period. So it's not all equal.
Once this is,
Keep building them, so somebody's renting them.
once this is, we make a decision, I would like to have this sheet, all this information added to the, just send it to me, I'll print it out, add it, or else add it to our books. If everybody doesn't want it, I want a copy. And the reason I want a copy is because I want to be reminded
When we get the
myself
salary study back.
about the fact that, what we did to ourselves.
Yep.
What the options were.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of interesting.
Be very interesting. And whether we can afford the salary study.
So do we need an ordinance where we go?
Yeah, probably give us some guidance on what.
Like I said, before we adjourn the meeting, we absolutely have to decide whether or not we're gonna report to the clerk if we're attending the pink postcard meeting or not.
Oh, okay.
So, but I don't foresee any other changes, so, you guys, you're the board, you get to vote, so if you wanna make a change after this, you can. The only thing you can't change is if you decide to stay under the threshold, You can't change your mind and go over later. That's the only thing you can't do.
Which we've got plenty of money, so we wouldn't do that anyway.
Go ahead.
So out of curiosity, run a scenario, let's say we keep the levy the same, right at the $400 per 100,000.
Yep.
Based on those numbers and the valuations set forth, what are we talking about in additional funds that we're, I mean, right now, looking at the budget notes, we're at a negative $336,000 that we would need to cut. So those numbers, we've done what we can. However, looking at this, I don't see the 911 Motorola contract on there, which isn't going to come due this year, which I can't remember if that was 112,000 or something like that. So that number's probably closer to 450. Plus this, I mean, if I'm reading that right, we're talking 690,000 on top of that.
So that number is just saying if you wanted to put the levy the same as last year, we would add 690,000.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
To the additional spending authority.
You would add the 690,000 to the property tax asking.
To the actual budget. So between that number and what I got here on the balance of need to cut, we're talking about $1 million that's not necessarily assigned to a particular item. I guess I'm just curious if we were to do that as a board, where we're planning on utilizing those dollars or putting them towards reserves, because realistically, that's just from my rough math, and maybe Kayla, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're talking about $1 million here to keep the levy the same.
So the 300,000 that you're talking about, Scott, that you guys in theory cut beyond what we initially asked of you, which keep in
That's
mind is
already
kind of
showing up, right?
it's already assigned.
Okay.
Those dollars are assigned.
So let's call it
But yes, if you make a cut
$700,000.
today, whether it's 100,000 or $1 million or whatever you decide to cut, we do need to assign a purpose to. So options for those things could be, it could be, increasing the asking and either, I don't know what I hear that the board, if they're going to put money aside, wants to do it for the salary study. But for whatever you would want to put it aside for, we can put it into a cash reserve for that purpose, or we can put it into a spending line for that purpose. The only thing is, if it goes to a spending line, it is technically available to be spent. We could also reduce transfers that are coming from other funds. For example, we could reduce like the gaming tax or an inheritance transfer. Those would kind of be options of how we would achieve whatever you guys set out to do.
Fair enough. I guess I'm just thinking about if there's any other one-off projects that we've been putting off, because essentially if we were to assign these to any kind of reoccurring.
That's a good point. Right, yeah, I wouldn't assign it to a reoccurring, I mean, if your intent is truly to use it for future salaries, you wouldn't want to assign it to a reoccurring project
Can't we
because
just
then
put it
it
in the
wouldn't be
general fund
available.
and then have it available there?
You could, for example, you could add it to your miscellaneous general, like emergency line. You could put it there. If you wanted the ability to spend it in an emergency, but not have it assigned to anything. And then again, then next year it would get allocated to your designated purpose, I'm assuming salaries. And we'd bring that line back down to the normal, 500,000.
I like the idea of the emergency because it's unintended, this would be an expense that we are not able to put a dollar amount to. We could put it in a salary line item, but
It'd be difficult.
That's
you
what I
don't
mean.
really,
Right.
you don't have a clue.
Curious
really.
what the thoughts are on the course of your year, because
Well, it's- and it's gonna
Gary
cost
said, we're
more.
already asking 600,000 change more than we have to, based on the courthouse. However, I think the logic of thinking forward farther than the next year is good. I'm just curious on this additional 690, I guess, as to what we can say as to planning for the future on that besides salary study. But if that's all it is, potential increases in salary, that's the thing, but I don't know where those are gonna end up.
Well, we don't know.
Correct.
Could be health insurance, it could be
Yeah.
a number of different things.
We've got extra in inheritance, we've got extra here, we've got extra there. I don't like increasing the levy.
No.
What?
anything.
we
What
give
happens when
roads-
Slice comes in at 2%
Yeah.
or less?
We
I
give
don't know.
roads the same amount every year. We never increase it. So when a busload of kids falls through a bridge for the weight restriction, not my problem.
I think we need to probably make a motion as to what direction we want to go, and I don't know where everybody else is at, but I personally would feel comfortable leaving the levy the same. I'd make a motion that we levy $400.02. Is that what?
Yeah, I mean, it's technically 403, but
Is
when
it
I
three?
did
Okay.
700, it went above, so I just got as close as I could. So if you want to go for the 402 cents, Scott, it'd be a $690,000 increase. I don't know if you want your motion to direct where you would want that change made.
And have the 690 be tagged for emergency use,
In miscellaneous general?
miscellaneous general.
There a second?
I applaud what you're doing, Scott, but we should have been able, with the valuation increases, the state hadn't done it, we should have been able to cut $30 off our valuation. With the valuation increases that we had. And I applaud you to the $5, but not enough for me.
Okay, we've got a motion, a second. Any other discussion?
Voting is open.
Five yes.
We're headed in the right direction, Scott.
No, motion carried.
All right. Is there anything else that we need to?
I mean, go ahead. I was gonna say, it seems like we're, clearly below the allowable growth threshold, so that,
Do we need a motion to not do the pink card for sure?
no, I don't think so. You just basically can't change your mind after we report to the clerk, and we're not gonna have any more meetings. So I think that's kind of implied by the last vote, so I think we're okay there. So yeah, we'll add that, and then I guess I don't know if we need to look at future meetings and decide if we're gonna have any more of them or not. Because typically we would have one like right after the joint public hearing, but with you not attending the joint public hearing, you do not have to have any more meetings besides the one to finalize the budget, so. And I don't know what else Kim had on her list too.
We didn't lose that information, you can send it to me or copy it or something for me.
I guess,
Thank you, that'd be
Marla,
awesome.
would my motion should have been to approve a resolution for determining
Okay,
the levy?
no, that is
or
actually
that-
separate. That's
That's
just,
separate?
yeah,
Okay.
that's separate. That's the levy allocations for the fire districts.
But we still need to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we gotta have that one.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
If it's all right, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve resolution number 26-27, determining the final levy allocation for all political subdivisions subject to the county levy authority.
I'll second.
The county ours too?
That'd be the
That'd
fire
be the
department,
fire
outside
district.
entities.
Okay.
Voting is open.
Mine didn't go.
One more vote.
Oh, I hit it.
7 yes votes, motion carried.
Is there anything else that we need to bring?
I was just trying to find the meeting schedule really quick to make sure if we need to cancel anything. It's at the bottom of this May packet. At least I thought it was. Yeah. Pretty good, because I'm not finding it.
Kim's got the resolution 27.
Here's these.
Thank you very much.
Anything else?
So, we've got,
So we don't have anything else scheduled, it looks like. You'll have your 2 regular board meetings between now and then, so I guess if anything comes up, let me know and I'll be here, but otherwise the next time, unless something comes up, the next time that we'll talk about the budget will be on September 23rd when we do the approval.
So we just have our regular county board meetings.
Okay.
And I haven't, right now, I've gotten to the school district, Hall County School Districts, they do not have to attend, we do not have to attend, so.
Good for us.
That would be some, if we don't get any requests.
With the growth percentage being so high, it's much more likely you'll have little to no attendees compared to prior years, because it's
Yeah.
increasing that threshold significantly.
That would be okay with me. No,
If,
but I
if
mean,
we
that-
have to have it, let's have it here, though. Let's don't do it at
Oh,
school.
yeah, no, it's gonna, it would be held here, I mean, and with what we have now, I mean, we'll be able to get everybody in here. I can seat almost 90 in here, in this room, just by moving things around. And, if not, with the new system and stuff, we could even set them out around the door so that they would still be able to hear. That was one of the complaints last year, they could not hear, so.
Gotta
So
wait.
I'll know by September 4th.
It's too big a venue. Okay. I think we are adjourned.
Thank you.
So they voted to leave the